How are we doing, Sky Watchers? It is looking to be a clear night again tonight. What luck coming back after our little break there, and it is lovely and clear. So if you are joining us tonight, we're going to be doing our live UFO UAP Skywatch, coming to you live from Wiltshire here in the UK, right in the heart of Crop Circle country and just down the road from Stonehenge. So lots of strange and anomalous things in the skies over here do help us spot what might be going on. We're waiting for the blue to disappear. That is the last bit of daylight before the sun goes fully around there. So as that disappears over the next 20 minutes or so, it's going to be a lovely dark sky there. Lots of movement, lots of colourful stars, and hopefully something very strange indeed there. But do say hello, let us know where you're watching from, and yeah, let us know if you've ever had a strange sighting in the sky. We'd love to hear about that as we're waiting for the action to happen. We've got some movement down here.
Zoom mode activated.
So there we go. This is again a typical example what we're going to see a lot of tonight. Now, if it maintains a straight, steady path at a consistent speed, that is most probably going to be just another man-made satellite. Statistically, there's a lot of them up there, so that's going to be most of the sightings. So yeah, do keep an eye on them though, because it only takes that last minute of change of course or trajectory. That will tell us for sure that it is something very strange indeed there. And Brian there, enjoy finally being able to sleep. I am looking forward to that so much tonight, Brian. I actually got a bit chilly earlier, which is I'm very happy to say that that is the case there. And Ian, how are you doing there? Let's have some fun. Full-on invasion please tonight there. Hey, it'll be a change, wouldn't it there? So guys, you're just joining us. We are doing our live UFO UAP Skywatch, coming to you live from Wiltshire here in the UK, right in the heart of Crop Circle country, just down the road from Stonehenge. Lots of strange and anomalous things in these skies. And whilst we're waiting for the action to kick off, that was a squeak, we want to hear your personal experiences with the phenomena. Do say hello, share those stories. But if you've got any questions, ask away. No silly questions here at all. So yeah, anything you may be curious about there. Dodo, how are you doing? Good to see you in. How is your weekend going? We're just discussing that we are grateful that it is cooler tonight there. Emilio, how are you there as well? Seeing you coming in. Thank you for the gift there, daughter. Very kind of you. And it all goes back into the stream. So we're waiting for that daylight to bugger off, waiting for the sun to sod off around a little bit more. It is dark for me to the eye here on the ground, but this lens lets in about 2.5 times the light the human eye can see, so we can see all those objects up there. But it does mean that we've got to wait for that daylight to go a little bit longer. We can see more stars then, and more anomalous movement there. Eric as well is in the house, and Rory, how are you doing there? And oh, why are we not? Sorry guys, there's a little it's having a sulk there. Let me just problem solve. That's weird that that's both of them have gone at once. Let me just check the cable. There we go. It was a dodgy cable. It's back. There we go. Dan, how are you doing there? Brian as well. Good to see you in there. I'm glad it is much, much cooler tonight there, so we're very, very grateful for that. How is it where you guys are there? And Jeffro, where are you joining us from tonight, Jeffro? Good to see you in there. Waffle as well there. And it's windy up north. I would take that. I want a good storm there. Tick Tick as well. Thank you for the gifts. So it all goes straight back into the stream, guys. Currently, we are saving up to take the Skywatch on the road to some UK UFO hotspot locations. Currently the first one is planned to be Rendlesham Forest, to do a live Skywatch on the ground there, where the infamous crash/landing may have happened in the 80s. Pretty cool to see, but getting some movement already in on the sky. Keep your eye on that, and we want to see the ones that stop dead, change speed and trajectory there, the ones that are a little bit stranger than the man-made objects we're going to see a lot of tonight there. And South Polar Island, how are you there? I'm a Zen Buddhist there, and see the sound of silence. Oh, I like that. Hey, I'm open to all the Buddhist stuff there. I wasn't, but I am now there. UFO. There are lots of anomalies up there. The skies are surprisingly fruitful. How are we doing, Harko? Good to see you there, sir. And tonight's the night, Jeffro. And have you seen the new propulsion being studied? Oh no, what's this one, Brian? What is this one? I want to hear more on that one. Dara is in as well. And I walked my dog at Rendlesham Forest there, and I think it is where they have the model triangle. That's the one, Rory, yes. So they actually embrace their UFO heritage, which I think is pretty cool. And they've got a big steel, statue of the UFO. It's slightly not where the crash actually happened. Only slightly. It's a little bit more to the south along that tree line, apparently. I've not actually been there myself. I used to work just down the road, so I pass it all the time, but never went for a wander. But yeah, we're going to be doing a live on location from that spot there, which I think is pretty cool, because not just the UFO stuff, it is apparently very, very active in general for all the spookies stuff as well. So you'll get to see me be pretty freaked out during that one there. So it's always a bit of a laugh there, isn't it? To watch me go for Scooby-Doo there. How are we doing? Dara there. Harko, thank you for the gifts, guys. It all goes back into the stream for those. And in 5 minutes, it's another one. How are we there? And Adam as well is in the house. Oh, you know what, bollocks, I didn't do the bloody thing, did I? I needed to check that one out. You just reminded me. There, it's really cool. I think we need to, like, lean in a little bit more, don't we, to our UFO heritage where we have it. Todmorden as well there, and this little town here in Wiltshire has a lot of history for it. Oh, we're having some camera sulks tonight. I won't get in the way too much, I don't think there. Dordor as well coming in with the gifts, and Harko coming in with the shares. Appreciate that one. It does help us reach more and more like-minded people there, like yourselves. More eyes and minds on the odd phenomena, sharing our experiences and knowledge of what may be going on. The more, the better there. You never know who's going to come in to what experience that they are going to share with us. I've forgotten my fan, and now I'm in here. I'm warm. I have to go get that in a second. Where are we in the chat? We got to Dan coming in there. British Knight as well. How are you there? And oh, and in evening as well, Helen, good to see you there. An investigation is the work of Dr. Charles Boer. The team claims to have developed a machine capable of generating thrust without expelling any propellant there, and achieved that is quite a big achievement if true. There was something recently that was kind of along. He's not the electrogravitic stuff, is it? There, it's not the he's not the NASA electrogravitics chap, is he? An achievement that seemingly challenges fundamental conservation of momentum. It really does, if it works there. There is a lot of area that was looked at in the 50s and the 60s to the anti-gravity world, and then it was written off. But it looks like the research actually went dark. There's a lot to it, I think. There's arguments that actually, parts of modern, planes, it's all top secret, but they are using some of that technology there from those research periods there. Rory currently in the shares, and it's 22 there. It's cooler than the last night. Oh my God, yeah, I'll take a 22. I think we're probably at about 28 in this room at the minute, which is not as bad as when it was 12 degrees hotter than that the other night or more, wasn't it? It was rather warm, but I'll see how long I last before I have to go out and get the fan. But until then, guys, we're doing our live UFO UAP Skywatch. So coming to you live from Wiltshire here in the UK, right in the heart of crop circle country, just down the road from Stonehenge. Lots of weird and wonderful things in these night skies. Do help us spot that anomalous movement. Have we got anything on the screen at the second? Anything moving other than my cursor? Can't see anything, but it won't be long before we get another one in there. Let me just tweak the brightness, make sure we're capturing it there. We're going to... Oh, no, I thought I saw something. And we're now going to be chasing the brightness settings as the sun goes around. That blue disappears. We'll crank up our brightness, and we're going to see more of those stars in the background. But also those fainter objects are going to become more prominent, so we should see more moving objects there. And we're looking out for the ones that stop dead, shoot off at speed, and change their course or trajectory. Those ones are still the very, very strange ones that we cannot explain. Coloration and flashing are of interest too, but they're not as a slam dunk. And X in the house, hi and bye. How are you there? It's already Monday there, Harko. Not long until our streams get a little bit more reasonable hours for you there. TB, how are you getting on? I'm glad it is cooled down a little bit here. And Brian there, how it works. The technology allegedly uses asymmetrical electrostatic pressure. Yes, this is the one there, where uneven electrical fields push against the system itself. I've heard about this. Apparently the B2 uses a similar system, although it's very, very classified. But yeah, apparently they're getting some, some actual lift from these objects. Again, it's all very, very exciting times. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, how much of it was kind of known secretly for a while, but it's just about coming out there. And Tina in space, how are you doing today there? And which lens there? George, I don't know. It's a Chinese one. It has a lot of letters and numbers. Cannot remember. It's 25mm. That's about all I remember from it. There, oi, how are you doing? And so happy we have some wind and a bit cooler. Oh, it is a pleasure compared to how it has been there. Well, we had to stop for the first time. We had to stop doing the streams because it was too hot to run the computers, and I was dying in here. It's over 40 degrees in this room with all the lights and the kit. It was awful, but luckily it's cooling down. We are back at it now. So guys, if this is your first time in, do say hello. Let us know where you're watching from tonight, and ask away any questions indeed. But make sure you're following or subscribed, whatever it is, wherever you are, because we do something something like this pretty much every night there. If it's a clear sky, it's this. It's the UFO UAP Skywatch from Wiltshire, right in the heart of crop circle country. And on a cloudy night or a rainy night, we do this. It's the we do this one. There we go. We do the alien radio signal hunt there. We're searching on the hydrogen line, which is the channel on the dial there that scientists think we are most likely to hear a message from ET should they be out there. It's where the wow signal's heard, and if the moon's up, it looks like this. So we do a moon stream and see some anomalous things over the time. So we're always doing something on the lookout for evidence of the phenomenon there. And it's cooled down, but not for long. The hot weather is returning. I saw that on the distant one. I'm not a fan of this. I am not a fan. I'm also disappointed because I did manage to buy one of those air conditioning units, the portable ones, and I thought that would be the saviour, and it would just be like a monetary barrier. I just need to get one or two of those. But it knocked the edge off it, but it wasn't enough. So now I'm just worried for my survival. In a B2 there, Dara, to be seen with the naked eye is B2. So B2, yes. So this big, bright, beautiful one there is Vega, 26 light years from us here on Earth. Big, bright, beautiful purple star, burning hotter and brighter and won't last as long as our sun there, but not too far, 26 light years away. But yeah, that, as you'll notice, as this blue goes, the daylight fades away, that is going to become more and more purple. But you can see it's one of the first stars that you can see that comes out there at night. And this is part of the reason why it's our summer companion, because I just know, right, that's where I point the camera. Let's get that in the bottom left corner, then as the night comes in, we can follow it along there. Dean as well, welcome aboard there, thank you for the follow. Where are you joining us from there? And GMA10 there is approaching on the west at about 15 kilometers. Oh, it's at the radar there, Harco. Very exciting times for that one, thank you again. Where are we? Brian's, yeah, all of this is suddenly coming out now. They messed the government up there to make money. Honestly, I think that's what happened. There is actually so much that went into this anti-gravity, this sort of area, technology research back in the 50s and 60s. And then all of a sudden, it didn't fade out. It just went quiet. And that's not normally what science does. Normally science comes out with a few papers, proving it wrong, and everybody gets bored and fucks off. But no, it just went science. But everybody was interested in the anti-gravity stuff there in the 60s. And I think it was the Chapel Hill conference was like when, not string theory, but the precursor to string theory was entered into physics. And since that point, it's like everybody's been distracted. They shushed up the interesting anti-gravity stuff, pushed that, behind the old wall of classified because there was something to it. And then they went, like, scientists, go play with string theory. There's some elegant maths for you to wank each other off with. And it looks like I'm a big believer that could be what happened. And hello, Brian. There, and Tank that he needs to lay off the coffee. Why is that? Is he not getting any sleep? Or is he can't be talking as fast as we are. Where are we there? Kate is in. How are you doing? TB there. Thank you for the gift. And
nom nom nom.
Feeding
Thanks,
Alan there. Appreciate that. Have I missed any more whilst we are at it? And Oya there. Harco as well. Thank you for the gift, guys. All goes back in the stream, helping us improve what we do. As I said, we're saving up at the minute to get the show on the road down to Rendlesham Forest. So the first of our UK tour of live skywatches from proper UFO hotspots. I am going to try my luck this week to see if we can also get Pete out for another local skywatch and get chased off by cows once again. So we'll see if we are lucky there. I do need to message him though, so he has some advance warning. But yeah, hopefully we're going to get over the summer. We're going to make the most of the summer. We'll see. Getting the camera out on location. It's a different sort of stream. I mean, it looks pretty similar for you guys. Same camera. But again, I get scared and you get to laugh at me for that one. And Rory, man, I've been seeing some weird stuff in the night sky recently. Oh, tell us more, Rory. I want to hear more on that one. Mark, the plastic bag. I will never live that. That was our first on location, wasn't it there? Oh, there we go. We've got one down here.
Zoom mode activated.
So this sort of one here. We're going to see a lot of these tonight. Now, again, the satellites, the man-made stuff is all going to look very similar to that. What we need to see is it stop dead, shoot off at speed, change its course or trajectory. That will tell us for sure that it is something a little bit stranger. Now, if it doesn't do those things, doesn't mean it's not anomalous, just means that we don't know with the information we've got down here. So people were seeing this sort of stuff, but well before man-made objects were up in the night sky. So again, they're not all going to be that. It's just statistically most likely, especially of how many there are there. But yeah, Mark, the plastic bag that scared the hell out of me that night. But the recent one we did, not last week, the week before, was you, I suppose you probably didn't see that one. This is why, guys, you need to check us out on the tube, because TikTok is always throwing a sulk, but we're normally pretty consistent with the tubes now. So it was just for the tube for that live Skywatch Thursday before last, and yeah, we got chased off the hill by cows. It was a very abrupt ending. 30 cows rushing us. It was, yeah, quite funny. It scared the hell out of us at first, though. And I feel like the next scare should be goats. As long as it's goats and not gnomes. Because that's what I thought was happening in the last one. I legitimately thought we were being rushed by gnomes. Oh, that was a nice one, just flared up down there. Can you see that? Oh, just about over on the TikTok there. Guys, if you are on TikTok, remember, check us out over on the tubes. It looks like this. It's round the right way. There's less me, more sky, and all sorts of better analytical data there. At the Thing UFO, definitely worth checking out there. Sometimes you miss things that are hiding behind my face here, not on the other platform. But again, follow them along. We're looking for those anomalies tonight. Where did we get to? It's better now. Oh, Adam, I cannot express my gratitude for the weather eventually pulling its finger out and sorting itself out there. When it gets hot like that, I kind of, I think I just all of a sudden become deeply religious, because it's like I want to blame that somebody's got control over the weather. It's ridiculous. How do they expect me to exist in this heat? And I don't know who I'm blaming unless I have suddenly become religious. For those ones there, as Kate says, tap, tap, tap. We appreciate it, guys. It's the tap in, the likes, the shares, all that jazz that helps us reach more and more like-minded people like yourselves. My favourite bit is when somebody new comes in and goes, hey, I've got a story, and you get to hear an account of the phenomena that you would never have heard otherwise. That is the thing that has changed my opinion on what may be going on the most. The sightings are cool, but it is your accounts that are, I think, the most important there. Speaking of which, Rory's in there. I've seen a bright white light out of my window, a few thousand feet up there, dropping hundreds of feet. Oh, now that, again, that doesn't really fit the normal explanation there. Is it just coming straight down, like coming closer there? Does it change its trajectory there? And I thought it was a satellite, but it's really creeping me out, to be honest. This is it. Our gut knows something. Like, we spend our life building up a gut feeling for these. It's a very rudimentary sense of physics, isn't it? You know, I know if I drop Alan, I know where to put my hands to catch him, roughly. If I want to chuck Alan across the room, I know what sort of position, what arc, and how much power, roughly, to get him where he needs to go. We get this intuitive sense of how the world works so we can function within it. And then, you know, you will see something strange in the night sky. And again, it's not a scientific understanding. It doesn't know all the details, but you'll see it and you go, right, it's a light. It's moving strange, but I can't do any more than that necessarily. But you know it in that, you know, intuitive sense there. And stirring is interesting as they are going into... Oh, Starlink is interesting as they're going into space. SpaceX there with the Starlink satellites, 100%. Very interesting company to watch. I am very grateful that somebody is doing it, shifting, you know, the space industry almost single-handedly forward. 95% of mass to orbit, shit that's launched into space, is SpaceX now, which is crazy. You know, it just wasn't doing the amounts before. Hello, darling.
I have another example of intuitive stuff that's weird.
Oh, yes? What's that?
Look at any object in your room. Imagine licking it.
Oh.
You know what it feels like on your tongue. You've never licked it before, but you know what that will feel like on your tongue.
That is true. You do. Or you'll have an assessment because you understand, you know, sort of textures and things. But it's a very good example, actually. Where are we? There. And Rory, it almost looks like it's watching me. People do report this bit of two-way communication, don't they? Or maybe not communication, but there's some sort of connection there. You know, they pull out a phone, it fucks off. You know, they shine a laser at it there, but it doesn't have to be literal. There does seem to be people reporting, which you would think something that big up there, you know, its audience is probably quite a few people, you know, that are going to have that visible link to it there. But it does seem to respond to people there. And do you get flashbacks going down the garden aisle now? Of course I do. I go past the stakes and laugh. And how you doing, Prafarm? And I got a bit lost in the woods today, hence why I'm on late there. It's like bloody cloudy here. Oh, Prafarm, have you not had a chance to get the scope out? I was hoping to see some images there. It's easy done in the dark. It's easy done. This is one of the reasons why we don't do a couple of the other like local you know, easily accessible locations for Pete. That I wanted to take him on a spooky walk in the woods, but it's getting him down there during the day so we can get there without getting lost, because it looks very different at night. It's easy done, isn't it there? And cargo there. Are you able to see the moon? So we are, but not right now. So when we can see the moon, it looks like this, which is not too much of a bad shot considering. There we do our moon watches, but at the minute it is not above the horizon for us at this sort of time. So we won't be able to do it tonight, but yeah, we do the moon, we do this, the Skywatch here, looking out for UFOs, UAP and all those strange things. They're up in the night sky. Or we do an alien radio signal hunt there when it is too cloudy to get the camera out. So where's my cursor hiding? There it is. So yeah, we're always on the lookout for some form of anomaly in the night sky. Where are we? I'm trying to scroll through here. And it's jumping ahead of me. And what are the green spots there, Rap? So those ones that you guys are seeing there, that is the first bit of the grid that's coming through. So basically, when this blue that we're seeing in the night sky at the minute, that's the last of the daylight that hasn't gone. The sun hasn't fully gone round. Now, as that goes over the next 20 minutes or so, that's going to be a nice pitch black, as you'd expect for the night sky. You can see all the stars and their colours. It's going to be awesome. But we have a grid reference over there, hence you can see the letters and numbers. And those little crosses you're seeing, they are like the intersections, the corners, the junctions of those points. So that means that we don't have to have the lines too thick for people to be able to quickly identify what they are, but you'll see the lines come in a little bit better there as that contrast bounces out. But then you're able, if I've missed something, which happens quite a lot because I'm reading the chat there, you can go, oh, A3, and then we know quickly where to look there. But also, when it's working, the mods can actually press a button and highlight various grids. So if you drop that grid reference in the chat, and again, if I'm reading through the chat but I'm far behind, as I am now, then you know, the box pops up and I can go, oh, and we can look at it there. And Astro, how are you doing there? And it's another night there. Was there anything? We did the other night, we had a couple of nights off, but before that we did have a few flashing anomalies there. And Rory, and I've seen more and more weird things over the years, like they know almost. And I think people do report this a lot, don't they? And I think what happens is that you have one experience, and then you know things are possible. Like, strange things are possible. You know, if you don't expect any of this to actually be real at a deep level, you're going to see a strange light, and subconsciously you're just going to go satellite, plane, you know? But when you go, wait a minute, you see something strange enough to go, oh, actually, maybe there's stuff going on that we don't fully understand, that isn't in the mainstream, then you're kind of more aware to these things as well. And Rap there, and I filmed the sun, but the sun in my eye was not the same as the sun in the camera I picked up there. Look, hope you have some glasses on there, because that can be very, very dangerous. But some of the, you know, the solar stuff, you know, where they put the filters on the lenses, very, very interesting to see. And then it goes far enough down to be blocked by the trees and the hills. So from that perspective, that is very interesting. Does it come back up? Does it move? Or does it? Is it slow? Does it stop? With those ones. It's so true, exactly, Rap. And how are you doing there? Have you what items, guys, did you think when Leanne gave that example? What items did you think to model the shape with your tongue? Kate coming in with the shares there. And TB, question, I've seen lots of satellites moving in the night sky, and why are they moving in different directions? TB, it's a brilliant question. The answer is different purposes. So there are different orbits, different altitudes, and different directions that work better for certain things. Now, if you've got a communication satellite, say a mapping satellite, you're going to want to go basically with the Earth's rotation, and you know that's going to get, if you're going around the sort of the middle-ish, you're going to be able to get most of the continents, where if you did a polar orbit, you're going to spend a lot of time just looking over the ocean. So sometimes there's better positions for whatever their task is, different altitudes as well, different connection speeds. Like the Starlink stuff at the minute really does benefit from being as close to the ground as possible. They're kind of pushing that one. DJ Spider, how are you doing? Thank you for the gifts there. I appreciate it. It goes into the stream. So it's a very good question, but I'm not sure on the specifics of this one's good for that one, but generally there is a use for it there. And yeah, I've seen telepathy UFO reports. I have, and again, that was part of the phenomena that I just didn't know about until really doing this and hearing it. There's the last few years of modern ufology, and it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? There. And Lou and Rap, thank you for the follows, guys. Where are you joining us from there? And Sainsbury's must be a hellscape now. Oh my god, it definitely is. And not happy there. Well, the clouds here, I bet. It's so frustrating. I get like a petulant toddler when I get a new lens or something and I want to use it, and then the clouds start playing ball. So I feel that pain just hanging there. But you could do an earlier stream for a moonwatch day, given it's... Oh, actually, Kate, yeah, you could. I always just wait for it to get dark. I could. I'm technically waiting at the minute because I want a new toy before we do another stream. Because trying to use the what we've got here at the moment is just such a pain in the arse. So I'm kind of just waiting for that. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. So we might have to do one the next time the moon is up at the right hour. But Kate coming in with the shares, appreciate those, guys. It is the likes, the shares, the tapping away that helps us reach more and more like-minded people there like yourselves. And the more eyes and minds on the phenomena, the better. The more we can all piece this puzzle together. And YouTube, I will get over to you shortly. I'm just finishing up here with the TikTok there. And do we see Venus and Jupiter in B2? So I think in B2, that's Vega. The big bright one is Vega there. So Venus does look very similar, like size and brightness wise, to Vega here, but it's gone around the other direction for us now. So let me just crank up the brightness and make sure we are able to see as it's getting darker. Let's just put the brightness up a touch there and turn that one down because it's a bit too staticky. So that blue's going to go, and it's going to look very, very stunning there. Richie coming in with the shares, and Rap, I saw stationary stars for like half an hour, then it turns into a plane. Now, Rapsy, that is very, very anomalous there. We do not have the technology to just sit there for a while and then bugger off in a different direction at these altitudes. That is highly, highly strange. There, Harko coming in with the shares there. How you been? Oh, hot, DJ, hot, but thank God it's cooling down there. How about yourself there, sir? Adam coming in with the shares, and DJ is back. How are you? And Sneerful, would you know what flashing satellites are? And it was flying, and I was saying, give me a flash, and it did. So, now, there are some answers to this, but a lot of people will just write off Andrew Flash there as iridium flares, satellite flashes. They can do it. And essentially what's happening is that, well, one of the occasions is, if you think this is an object up there, right, it reaches a certain point in its arc there of its orbit relative to the sun and us, and it reflects that light back down there. That's when you get the big bright singular flashes. But sometimes you get them when basically, like, if you do it, so flash, no flash, flash, no flash, and they're doing this as they move through space, flashing on a repeated pattern there. Now, man-made satellite objects up there, they can do that as well, but so it's not a slam dunk, but it can be still anomalous. Things like that we're seeing before man had satellites up there in space. We can't write them all off as that. It's just probably statistical. And it goes up and down and seems to accelerate quite a bit. So up and down, that is, again, we do not have technology at those sorts of altitudes. Well, I do use it a couple of 1,000 feet. I'm thinking of the satellites up here. So yeah, I don't know. That's a strange one, Rory. A very strange one there indeed. And the wall, the planet, the TV was washing my parents' hair and the dogs, the floor. I knew what I felt there. Oh, TB, good a spot in there. Sorry, I'm a bit behind there. Rap coming in with the shares. And DJ is back. How are you? How are you doing there, DJ? It's good to see you there. How's the missus getting on? And literally tethered to the cloud. As a very interesting, they're tethered to the cloud, and it's not new. They used to call them the pew them down, call them in and shoot them down. So this summoning process, yeah. Now, apparently, they've been doing that. That's why they got so many crashed. I mean, that makes sense of how many craft they do think have crashed after an incident there, probably with the US. The new toy. I always want a new toy. But I saw my first shooting star in like 30 years in Turkey last week. Awesome. I lived in near London, so it's very built up there. Bad light pollution. I'd never seen a shooting star with my own eyes, or a satellite or anything like this in the night sky. But moving to the country, we see loads now, and God, the difference is crazy. I'd gone 37 years or whatever it was without seeing anything, and here all the bloody time. And most of the time, I see telepathic UFO reports about us destroying Earth with our weapons or global warming. And look, that's a possibility, isn't it? If they're a higher power, then maybe they are concerned about the effects that we're doing. But I have a sneaking suspicion that seems to me, it feels like a very human thing to say. I can't get over in my gut why somebody traveling the vastness of space would have the same levels of care. I just, if you can travel the vastness of the universe, there will be many environments that you could do. It's not, for us, it's special and it's our consideration, makes sense for us, but for other people, it feels very homocentric for us there. And just out of the hospital, I haven't seen that one yet. I'll have to double check for that one. Let me just double check that one now, DJ, because I want to make sure that that's all good. I hope everything is okay there, DJ. I hope everything is okay with that one, very much so, especially in this heat as well. And all the roads were diverted. It felt like I was in a movie there as it turned back into a star. And you filmed it. Oh, we'd love to see that one. And George, they're good spotting in C3. And I mean, it's crazy. I think that out there could be another civilization teaching us about us. They very much could be. I think more than likely, just how many stars there are now, and it's just a roll of the dice of how close they are. We even mainstream astrobiology there, the scientists do think that life is going to be very, very abundant. It's just, is it advanced life? And I think there's enough evidence to point that way there. Know how they all tasted. Pointing towards Mallet. Oh, maybe we're pointing southeast, I think, at the minute from our location there, Harko. And we had a drone come under our plane wing and caught it on film. Now, that's a bit dangerous, isn't it there? And DJ Weeman, thank you for the follow there. Where are we? Good spot in Harko. And they don't crash. They use telepathy to call them in. And then people... I've heard this. I have heard that as well. Is that always been the case? Because I heard sort of early days, like the Roswell stuff, was... possibly due to new high-powered radar at the time that caused some interference, and then they down like that. But you think about how many they have, it makes sense that there's some sort of action being taken that is causing those things. And so many satellites these days, still space junk flying around from the 60s. There really is, George. There's a lot up there. And I think the zombie satellite phenomena, I think, is pretty cool. There are certain satellites that have been up there since the 60s. Their batteries are dead, but every now and again, they catch the solar panels, catch the light from the sun, power everything up, and they start transmitting again. Some independent people have actually, kind of not hacked into them, but, kind of got communication with them in the past there. Yeah, and coming in with the shares. And Scott, thank you for the follow there as well. I got hit in a very delicate area, DJ. Oh, Jesus. I need to know more about that. Oh, I hope you're okay. That is bad there. Do you move? We do as the night goes on, but at the minute this is normally the best one because of we've only got a short window where there isn't light from the neighbouring town, so normally this is the best angle for it. But as the night moves on, we'll follow Vega around a bit there. And do you think how big the known universe is? The way everything material spread out there, it can't be like statistically we can't. Yeah, even if it's bacteria, 100%, Rory. That I think, and that is the mainstream scientific view now as well. It's just how advanced is it? But if you think, there's been plenty of time in the universe, far before us, for these things to develop across a whole range of variations there. And Scott, how are you doing there? This is so cool. Where are you based? Thank you, Scott, there. We are based in Wiltshire in the UK, right in the heart of crop circle country, just down the road from Stonehenge. We're based in a little town called Warminster, which in the 60s and 70s had its own UFO flap here. It was a really unique one, and I was surprised that I hadn't heard about it before moving here, basically. It was, we're going to move to this little town. What's it like? What's the crime like? Boom, a UFO flap? Hell yeah, I'm into this. But it was strange because it wasn't just like there was one sighting and then a couple of years later there was another. No, it was 10 years of solid sightings. People would travel internationally to this little town, have an experience, and some people gave up their lives to move here to be with the phenomena. It was a very, very strange time. So it is a really interesting place. Oh, some more movement on the screen there. Keep your eyes on it. We're going to see lots of strange stuff. See, this is another... Oh, look, see, that is flashing. So if you imagine that is tumbling there, because it's flashed a couple of times.
Zoom mode activated.
Let's see if we can catch it a little bit more here. Is it going to flare up again? Maybe. But we're going to see lots of objects like that. We need it really to stop dead, shoot off at speed, change its course or trajectory. That tells us for sure that it is something a little bit stranger indeed there. Not one of the many, many man-made objects flying around up in the night sky. I'll send you another... Oh, okay. Thank you there, DJ. Yeah. So, I'm going to bounce back over to the tubes. Let's catch up where we were with you guys there. And what was that just on the screen? So, Scott, there's going to be a lot of man-made objects up there. I think it's about 15,000 man-made satellites. Doesn't include the old ones or the space junk. So, we're going to see a lot of those things. And what's happening is those objects that are in orbit there, the sun, it hasn't fully gone round for them because they're higher off the Earth. They still have a direct line of sight back to the sun. They're bouncing that light back down to us here, and that's how we're able to see them. Just like this one coming in now in B1 there. Is that going to go into C2, I think, at some point? But yeah, so they're going to reflect that light back. So we're going to see lots of those objects, but we're not going to be able to tell the difference if that's a UFO or a man-made satellite until it does something strange. Stops dead, moves off at speed, or changes its course or trajectory. That tells us for sure that it is a lot stranger. So keep your eyes on them, and we're going to zoom in on the interesting ones there. Where did we get to there? And Indigo is in the house. How are you doing there? And cow-sized gnomes, Jethro. You remember that, my embarrassment from that live stream. That is where my brain went, because we couldn't see the cow. We could just see the white markings on their head as they were rushing towards us when we were doing that other live Skywatch. Yeah, I just saw these white marks, look like faces with big pointy white beards. And I'm like, my brain's going, what could this be? What could this be? Too small for people? Gnomes! And yeah, I got scared thinking we were being rushed by gnomes. And I'm on an 8-inch reflector tonight there, and the moon is good in Devon. Trevor, I can't see it from where I am. I didn't think it was up at this time tonight. It must be behind some of the trees. We've got our garden kind of goes up a little bit, and then there's some trees in the top, so we don't get close to the horizon here. I haven't done a moon stream in a while, so at some point we'll have to do it there. Strawberry Moon, is it? And Ian, have you had the chance to watch the Jonathan Reed interview yet with Casper? I haven't yet, actually. It popped up for me today, and I was like, I need to watch that. I need to watch it. Very interesting, and not sure on how I feel on the story, as he seemed genuine, but there's a lot to take in. If it's the one I think it is from a while ago, like it's an older account, I think, isn't it, this one? There was people debunking it, but again, you don't know how genuine these people are, you know, with this sort of stuff. I remember seeing some images from it. I think it's this one. And they looked pretty interesting to me, so I do need to watch that one. And Paul, if you go down into the woods today, you may never get out. In the dark there, sounds more scary than the Hillfort. Well, there is a particular woods near us there during the summer. What was that one? Oh, during the... Oh, to keep us up. But yeah, the woods in question, I don't know what they're actually called, but there's like there's a ghost story of this particular woods to do with a witch or witches being buried under trees and stuff like that there. And what typically there is a sad true story behind it. But yeah, it's notorious for sightings of spooky stuff, and we're thinking one night when it's cloudy we'll go down and do that. But I don't fully want to do it in the dark because I do get scared quite easily. Where do I get to? And the aliens are pretty bad drivers. Well, that comes to mind. Like, if you're telling me it's like 3 flying saucers that have been caught, right? And maybe one of them was dug up because it landed here a million years ago, and it's sort of an archaeological record. That kind of fits the extraterrestrial hypothesis there. The occasional visitor over those vast distances is occasionally having an accident. Now they're talking though about like possibly, you know, 10 to 40. Craft the US government may have. Well, all of a sudden that doesn't, you know, they would have to be really fucking bad drivers, wouldn't they, to have that level of mistakes there, or just have a hell of a lot of activity here, at which point you'd expect to see more action around it. But the summoning in there and the purposely crashing does fit that narrative a little bit better. But why wouldn't they then, you know, get a bit more aggressive in their own recovery? Hello, darling.
Just a heads up, YouTube, I don't know if it's an us thing or a stream thing, but the YouTube was really juttering, like really lagging, like stop starting.
What is having a soul?
Turned it off downstairs now.
That is weird because, yeah, look, our thing has jumped up there as well. I wonder what's causing that. Let me do a little bit of problem solving, guys. See if we can get some network speed back.
I'm getting the bath.
Thank you, darling. That's what it's caused it there. Network. Nothing's using the network.
What, me having a bath?
Yep. Yeah, nothing's really using the network at all. That is very strange indeed. So hopefully it'll sort itself out. One day they will install fibre into this little village there, and we'll all be fine. Just check over on this machine. Network. Are you gonna load? Not really much going on. No, it doesn't look like it's these ones. Must be, maybe it's the fridge talking to the internet in this day and age. So hopefully it's not too bad for YouTubers there. Hopefully it'll sort itself out. Good spotting, Amelia. I'm a little bit behind on those ones, but keep it up there. Even if I'm a bit late to your grid references, then maybe, you know, people in the chat that are up to date there will see those still. So do keep putting it in there. And Brian, there, I hope we never get Kessler syndrome. What's that? When all the satellites crash into each other. There, the idea, isn't it, that the more objects that are up there, the more opportunity for collisions there are. Or space junk, you know, takes out one satellite, that blows into 1,000 pieces. Those 1,000 pieces all hit a couple of satellites, and you get this snowball effect that just wipes out everything up there. And then they're all just speeding bullets, and it creates a sort of an impenetrable layer, so we can't get to space, can't have satellites. God, that would be, in our day and age, that would be incredibly destructive. Think of all the lack of GPS and things. The more dependent we are on technology, the more devastating that would be there. And yesterday we were talking about the Big Bang. Actress Maya Balik there from the Big Bang Theory has her own podcast, and she spoke to someone who had died during surgery. I've seen a few of her. She has some really interesting guests on, like really interesting guests. And for somebody that's, you know, coming from a more science background, I found that very, very interesting. I haven't seen that one though. And Coolers, how are you doing there? What's with the audio? Is it playing up again? Probably getting some lag there. And he shared some rather remarkable things. For instance, he said that he had spoken to God, and God had told him that the aliens and we are one species, and we need to start working together more. Oh, that's a nice blue one coming in up there. We'll zoom in on that. I mean, it's very interesting. I always think that we have to consider our human interpretation with any of these accounts. You know, we're just doing our best. I mean, look at the brightness difference in those two. Very cool to see it there. Okay, so we can follow it for a bit. We need to really, guys, see it stop dead, shoot off at speed, change its course or trajectory, so we know for sure that it is not a man-made object up there. But keep your eyes on it as I zoom out there. That's a cool one tonight. Look, another one coming in. Very different sort of colour profiles for those. But yeah, something's going on. And I like the angle that we could be the same species. That is very, very interesting, I think. I think, in fact, that's possibly the most plausible answer, because if you look, all of the, I said all, but the vast majority where people claim to have encounters with other, you know, alien creatures, they all are bipedal. They've all got heads on shoulders. They've all got fingers, arms, and legs, mostly, especially the greys, which are going to be the most common encounter there. And for evolution to do that repeatedly in very different environments, it is possible, but it's incredibly unlikely that they are so similar there. You know, there's convergent evolution, you know, which is the idea that a good system, you know, multiple species like crabs have evolved multiple times out there. You know, eyes have evolved multiple times, so sometimes evolution just finds the best way to operate, but the fact they're so similar to us, you know, I find that very, very interesting for those ones. And not just me then experiencing the audio. Hopefully, is it going to be better now? Excellent. I just said Indigo Bear now. Thank you for that. Sorry I did miss those ones. Yeah, something that must have been on the network. I have no idea what though, because we don't actually have any smart fridges or anything like that. And if it's all turned off, very, very strange. But one day we will get fibre here. It's meant to be this year, actually, guys, at which point we will have none of that issue anymore. We'll do 12 different platforms at once. It is fascinating, I think. Now it's better now. Thank you as well for those ones, for the heads up there. Right, did I miss any going through there? I think I caught. Yep, no, we are there. Look, another bright one coming in from the top there. Look at that. Keep your eyes on those ones, guys. Bouncing back over to the TikTok. Where did we get to? In the chat with you guys. Kate coming in with the shares. Thank you for that one. And what was that? I did that one, didn't I? Scott coming in the shares as well, guys. It is those likes and shares that do help us reach more and more like-minded people there, like yourselves. The more eyes and minds we get on the phenomena, the more we can all piece this puzzle together. Honestly, my favorite part is hearing it when you guys come in, you share your individual experiences with the phenomena. That has changed my understanding the most in doing this stream. So guys, if you are new, say hello, let us know where you're watching from. But if you've had an experience, you fancy sharing it, we'd love to hear it there. So yeah, do say hello. And as it's near fall there, wouldn't you love to go back in time 100 years and watch our skies? Oh, I would, but I mean, if I could go back in time, I don't know where I'd pick. I mean, obviously it's watching the pyramids be constructed. That would be a lot of answers there. Maybe going back like millions of years just to see something so different. It'd be so cool. Drewski, how are you there as well? And how much a zoom is used there? So it's a digital zoom. It isn't actually an optical zoom. It's not the lens itself. This is something I had to learn, that basically the more you zoom in, the less light that gets into the camera, and we need light there. So the lens is fixed and we zoom in digitally. And that's about where we zoom in is about the maximum before it gets a bit too pixelated there. Hardcore TB and DJ, thank you for the gifts again there, guys. Appreciate that. All goes back into the stream. And Chris, where are you joining us from there? Thank you for the follow there. Rory, the aliens are take too long to come and recover. So maybe yeah, that could be an answer around it. Yeah, maybe if they're, you know, they've got these distances to travel. But yeah, I think they would view us more like, you know, wild animals. I think that they would have had to have gone through the same evolutionary stages as us. I don't think we're uniquely spicy or anything like that. I think that, you know, if they're complex, they would have had the same evolutionary pressures. Most likely, they would have gone through the, you know, times of being a little bit dangerous. And again, like we do in zoos, we put a big bit of armored glass there in front of the gorillas so they can't get to us. You know, we don't put the moral judgment on the animals. And I think they'd be like that as well with us shooting down craft. I don't think we should do it too often, but I think they'd probably just be like, that's the animals, that's what they're like, just be careful, lock the UFO doors as you pass there. And why do aliens seem to always crash in America? George, I think this is a really good question. So there's definitely a bias with the US because they are so prominent in the media. We just see more of their music, you know, more of their culture. So when they go through a UFO flap, then it kind of spreads around. So we're going to most likely hear all of the accounts. But then you've got the flip of that, which is, you know, cultures that are not only, you know, just not as loud as the Americans, but that are actively more closed, say like the Chinese and you know, the Russians there, they might not want that information to get leaked out, let alone there not being those organic channels for us. So there probably is getting like a reasonable amount of equal activity across the globe, and there are crash reports from all over. So, you know, it's a question, but maybe the Americans are being more active in that space. Maybe they are shooting them down or drawing them in, and maybe they're getting a higher response rate for those reasons. Is YouTube's been glitchy all day there? I was watching airports with creators all out of sync there. Oh, Stuart, thank you for the heads up there, because honestly, although we are getting a high... It's gone down again now. Yeah, I pull my hair out again. We get a technical glitch. Go, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? And we are... What is going on, actually? We are getting some... very high numbers on the ping there at the second. It's all over the shop. Let me do some more investigating there. I have a habit of I've got a suspicion it's Chrome being a dick, because Chrome likes to do that one. Google Chrome is the worst. No, we're not getting anything on the main streaming computer, and you think you know, that's going to be the biggest demand on all of this. So I don't know what that is. Hopefully it's going to sort itself out for tonight, though. But thank you for the heads up there. And how far is the scope at? So we're not actually using a telescope tonight, and most people think we do, and understandably so. If you're going to look at the night sky, that is what most people would use, isn't it? A telescope. But we need to actually see as much of the sky as possible, and telescopes are kind of zoomed in, basically super zoom, so you can see other stars and other planets in more detail. We need a wide field of view because we don't know where the action is actually going to happen, so we need to be able to kind of have that biggest frame possible and go, something up there, something over there, and we can then zoom in appropriately. We'd like to have an actual telescope, though, we can switch to, so we could like go, there's something, super zoom on that fucker and zoom in there. And Samuel, what was that there? I've just joined in. So most probably a man-made satellite. I haven't seen any anomalies tonight, but we're going to see lots of those things flying around in the night sky. There you go, there's one here, and they're all going to look very, very similar. Ranges of colours, brightnesses, and speeds, except stop it. Bloody thing. See, zoom. There you go. The zoom plays up now. There you go, there it is there. But yeah, there's just lots of objects flying around up there, mostly man-made, so not all of them are going to be of interest to us. In fact, most of them, again, are just going to be these man-made objects flying around. The way that we tell them apart, and again, it's not 100%, but, well, if it doesn't do something anomalous, then it doesn't mean that it isn't a UFO, it just means statistically it's going to be you know, a satellite or something like that. If it then does do something anomalous, the stopping dead, the changing course or trajectory or speed, anything like that, that does mean then that it is 100% not a satellite, because satellites can't do that behavior. So that's how we're filtering it down at the moment there. And are you on any flight paths there? So not really. We are pretty quiet. Occasionally, we did have one last night, didn't we? A plane goes over. But the brilliant thing about that is that because it is still slightly zoomed in, even though it's a wide field lens, you can really see when they're planes. They look very, very different. So all of these objects, these dots, so these are really, really high up there, you know, technically in space. They're very, very high altitude. Anything that's closer there appears much bigger and is more and more obvious for us to filter out there. Again, Kate coming in with the shares. And UK, Kickman, hi there. What f-stop are you using currently out there? Curious, I also have a Sony A7S, so it's low, it's less than 1, but I can't remember what point it is, but yeah, it's like a Chinese one or something, I can't remember. It's lots of numbers, but it's a very, very low one. It was the lowest I could find, basically. How you doing, Pluto? Good to see you in there. Have you survived the heat there? Loving the stickers there, Doodle, together. Where do we get to? Ben is in the house, and Cole's there as well. Evening, how are you doing? And Rory, have you seen the Afghanistan UFO videos there? The Hellfire missiles that don't explode, that bounce off. Rory, I saw that one. A lot of people went, oh, that's probably, you know, a balloon. Looks like it's impacting a balloon there. Even someone like, you know, the big UFO interested people, it's a balloon. But I thought that was really interesting. The way that when that missile strikes it and the pieces come off, they didn't look how I would imagine a balloon would work there. Like, it all seemed to be staying within its orbit, within the orbit. They were kind of captured still, the fragments that were flying around there, which to me feels like, you know, much like gravity propulsion drive, rather than something that, you know, breaks away and then will slowly slow down with the friction of the atmosphere. I thought that was very interesting. And it looked like the jellyfish. I've seen some of those jellyfish videos. They look so organic, don't they? We're all a bit spicy in here. We are a bit. It is very unique. I was a fan of those ones there, and Georgia as well there. Thank you for the follow. Where are you joining us from there? Kate coming in with the shares. Do appreciate that. And the telescope would be like trying to look at the sky through a toilet roll tube. It basically would be, yeah. And in fact, if you want to kind of see what surface area this lens does look at, go stand outside and do that. The old director lining up the shot, that is about the amount of sky that you kind of actually get in that. So there's lots more sky there as well. Super zoom on the fudge there, and it's not quite as hot in Scotland, but yeah, but you're probably not as used to it though. Oh my god, it was ridiculous. In this room it was over 40 degrees. We had to stop, the computers were breaking down and I was getting a headache there. And Teza, how are you there? Are you live? Yes, we're over on the tube. So guys, if you are on the vertical on the TikTok, definitely check us out. Look, first of all, the camera is up the right way, not sideways to fit it in for the vertical. There's less of my face, more of the night sky, but there's also extra contextual information, but also YouTube is normally more reliable there. So last week when we did our live on location, sadly TikTok wasn't having it. We got up the hill and did a forced update on the software to connect to it, and then after the software it lost all of our settings and wouldn't work. So it was YouTube only, so it's definitely worth checking this out there. We're at the thing at UFO, and then yeah, so I find it's a better experience there. Some people love it, so definitely check us out there as well. It got it to 10,000 likes. Thank you there, Rory. Do appreciate that one. It does really, really help. That is how the platforms know that people might be interested, and you never know who's going to come in and what experience that they are going to share. So we do appreciate that one. And here are the TR-3B test aircraft that is supposedly responsible for the majority of UFO sightings. Definitely was, wasn't it, in the 80s and 90s there, a big spate of sightings of these triangular-shaped craft. We may have seen one once, or a triangle craft. Doesn't mean that they're all the reverse engineered ones there, but definitely the most prominent possibly this American reverse engineered TR-3B. But we saw once, it was a triangle, it's the 3 dots lights, but it was dark behind those dots, so as it passed over stars you couldn't see through them basically, so it looked like it was a solid object there. And it's tested the 70s to the 90s. Yeah, that does fit for those peaks of the sightings, and can't wait to bring some pics to show the group there on Discord. Print Fun, we're going to look forward to seeing those. It'll be a clear enough night for you pretty soon there. And TikTok, thank you for the roses as well there, very appreciate it. All goes back into the stream, gifts, the subs, the members, all that jazz there. Speaking of members, it's not going to be this Friday, it's going to be the Friday coming after that. We're going to be doing our next deep dive for members and Patreons, where we take a look at our whistleblower account, leaked documents, images there, or if the US do release any more files, we will basically run those through live with you guys there. And if you want to check those out, as I said, they're normally for members and Patreons, but if you use the link in our bio there, you get a month for free with the Patreon, so you can join us and see if it is your sort of thing, and it all goes back into the stream. Anti-gravity definitely looks like there is something going on for that world. And JK there, and why is nobody talking about that Atom 3 thing that was supposed to be heading towards the moon? Atom 3. Oh, was it Atlas? 3i Atlas. Is it that one there, JK? Because that was an interesting object as well there. And the government seems to be very hidden about it there. They don't like when people have breakthroughs. They really don't know. No, if you follow the anti-gravity stuff, again, that was big. It was public in the 50s. Like the next big thing in physics, silence. Absolutely, it's really interesting. Check out, if you haven't seen it already, Jesse Michael's channel over on the tubes. It does on these Thomas Townsend Brown, looks into all of that. It is very, very interesting there, and I agree. I think something has been hidden, and they know a little bit more there. I very much think so, yeah. That's what, yeah. So, 3i Atlas was interesting, wasn't it? It was the talk of our community for quite a while, and to be fair, it was a very interesting object. There, the mainstream goes, oh, it's a comet, it's an interstellar comet there, and then it goes and does things which are very strange and not very comety at all. And then our community kind of go, it's an alien spacecraft, and then it goes and does things that make it look more comety. So it sadly wasn't observed to be doing anything that was anomalous enough to know 100% either which way. There were lots and lots of strange things about it, but yeah, it didn't kind of do it there. But it travelled through our solar system as expected, roughly. A few little weird things going on about it. It was a weird object, but yeah, it wasn't conclusive basically, and now it's off out there. So yeah, nothing from that one. The one that I found more interesting was the first interstellar object they detected, and that was a Muamua. That was interesting because the issue I had with 3i Atlas is it was doing things that a comet does. And there's no explanation, or no good explanation I found of why a craft, or a non-organic object would do these things, right? It did do other anomalous things that does make it more confusing, but it was still doing comety things as well. But a Muamua was doing things that comets don't do, but none of the things that comets do. That was really, really interesting there, but it's a bit of a while there. Thoughts on element 115? Again, it's plausible. It is definitely plausible. You know, it is the closest we've got to an explanation of how these sorts of things could work, so I'm open to it, but I don't think there's enough information to like collapse it down into a decision. So at the minute, holding it in a loose pile. I do find it very interesting there. And did it all of a sudden change direction? Not enough. There were slight movement changes, but not out of the realms of how comets can do it. So most of the things that are flying around up there, basically they're moving in a passive sense. They're not like our rocket motors where they're, you know, they're being pushed and, you know, you release the burning there and it pushes the rocket away. Basically, they're just flying around interacting with gravity. You know, it just goes off until something strong kind of pushes it in another direction or pulls it in this which way. But there are exceptions to that. So sometimes solar wind, there is a bit of a solar wind there. Particles from stars and things can push things a little bit, like the heat essentially can kind of push things sometimes. The other exception is comets. What happens there, just imagine big balls of ice flying around up there. As they get close to a heat source like a star, that ice starts to melt, and that's in a way that outgasses material. It's kind of like a little mini rocket booster. So you'll expect it, if it's a meteorite, it'll follow that gravitational path. You can calculate that. But if it's a comet, depending how much it outgasses, it melts, that will change. It gives it a little boost, so it changes its course. Now, 3i Atlas did that, but it kind of did it in a weird way. So there were these changes, but it wasn't weird enough that it couldn't have been a comet 100%, but it still was strange. It was interesting. But it was just perfectly in that realms of unknown, you know. It wasn't dramatic enough to say, yes, this is definitely something anomalous, but it also kind of wasn't the normal mainstream run-of-the-mill things as expected. It definitely was strange in there. And what's element 115? So that is an element that we now know is real on the periodic table there. But it was talked about Bob Lazar, who claimed to work at Area S4, Area 51. He basically said, look, I worked with this element, and that was the fuel, essentially, for the UFOs. This element 115. And we now know it has been not made, but it has been discovered as a real element now since then, which again isn't particularly hard because, you know, the way the periodic table works, and you can kind of guess the missing ones. But he said what was very interesting is that the element 115 he worked with was stable. In other words, you could have it as a solid lump and it'll sit there fine. A lot of elements are very short-lived. They don't last very long, fractions of a second, and this was the case with the element 115 that we naturally observed that was after he had claimed it there. So he's claiming a slightly different version, a more stable version. So it's still in the realms of anomalous, and he claimed there was, anti-gravitic properties. And any thoughts about the theory that we and our observable universe are inside a black hole? I like that one, Drewski. I really do. I mean, it's not one that we can really test, but I think that is a better way of thinking about how these things. I mean, you know, the Big Bang, you know, infinitely compressed matter into the, you know, to a science of pinhead, all the matter that's ever existed, suddenly exploding out into making our universe, right? Well, what's the opposite of that? All of the matter within the universe being sucked down into an infinitely dense point. You know, it's the reverse. It would make sense to me, and it makes sense mathematically too. Thank God, I was traumatized when I was younger about the aliens. I saw a film called Fire in the Sky. So I've heard about Fire in the Sky, and everybody says that. I haven't actually seen that one ourselves, but I totally, from what I've heard, I can understand it there. And it slowed down and then sped up. So yeah, but that's still within the realms, isn't it, of possibilities. By how much is the key there? That, you know, that can do that, because comets can do that. But it was strange. Now, I think Oumuamua was more strange as an interstellar object because it sped up, but it didn't outgas, it didn't melt. So how the fuck did it speed up? Like that, you know, that was the thing. So whereas 3i Atlas, you could see the outgassing and the melting that would explain the movement. So you go, that kind of is like a comet. But with Oumuamua, it just sped up and there was no signs of how. It was such a strange object there. So I'm very much a fan of it. And some really disturbing abduction scenes. Apparently the guy whose story that was based on, he did say Hollywood did lay it on. That wasn't particularly accurate to his actual account there. But lots of people do have some very scary experiences that drill into the guy. Oh, I've heard some horror ones there. They're really weird. But he wakes up in a bed with just bruises. So was he the one that was found days later in real life? Because it's based on a real events there, the guy claims there, Travis Walton. And Explanation made me more convinced that the Big Bang is a description of a black hole. Honestly, I think it is. It's like I remember having that thought like as a child. It's the same as the sort of, well, what's the universe in sort of thought. And I went, as you grow up, you go, oh, I'm just being silly. I'm sure all the scientists know more
Zoom mode activated.
than that. There you go. This is a nice bright one. But no, actually, there is a real scientific theory. There are scientists that go, this makes sense. This actually looks like a lot of it. Who was it that chipped in? One of the regulars chipped in yesterday, basically saying that that's a nice orange one there, saying that maybe the momentum, the spin of the universe, why everything's in motion, is moving. Maybe that was inherited from the black hole. That's where that motion initially came from. And I thought that was a brilliant angle on this one. Yeah, they edited it? Apparently so. Yeah, he wasn't. They took some artistic liberties with that. Right, I'm going to bounce back over to the tubes. Where did we get to with you guys? I'll get to the audio and it's better. There we go. And Brian there, they have also a nice blue one. They have also just proven that humans emit a glow, and when we die it disappears, and some amazing studies are going on right now. Yes, I've heard that one. I thought they kind of knew it for a while, because apparently certain animals can sense this as well. How are we glowing? Like we know we glow in infrared, so heat is light as well. We just don't see it. It's like a colour that we don't see, and obviously we get hot and we radiate heat there, so technically we glow in that sense as well. But apparently there is like an actual light wave as well. And British Knight there, pick one: travel 500 years into the future, or you can travel to any time in your past to relive it all again, up to your current age there. So you could go back to when you're 8 and relive the decades again. Or would you have your memory though, Knight? That is the thing. Would you have the knowledge that you know now? That is, or do you just get to relive it from a blank one? I don't know. That's a good question. Future guys or the past? What do you reckon? But your own past. Colin, how are you doing there? SK, good to see you there as well. And it's better over there, Tick Tick. Yeah, it's added to the table. It is now. It's been discovered, isn't it? The old element 115. Yeah, it's just, is it stable like that? And yet, possibly, they said it seems holographic in nature, so it could be based on an exterior connected interface. The more we're learning about all of this sort of stuff, even in the mainstream scientific community, the more we're learning, the more it is looking like that is the case. And I'm going to coin this one now, right, guys? There's two things, right? Two theories. I'm either batshit fucking mad, I've gone too far down the rabbit hole here, but the connections that my brain is making is, one, reality is localized. Right, so think of this: we're all playing a multiplayer game, right? And we're each a different PlayStation, right? But we're on the shared server, right? And for me, that explains things like the Mandela effect and all that sort of stuff. Is that, when enough people come into contact, the server has to negotiate a unified reality. But most of the time, because we're so physically close and we interact all the time with other people, even indirectly, that does collapse the wave function. It does negotiate the overriding truth for that one. So reality is localized is the first one, and the second one is that time is more of a, oh my god, I don't even have the words to describe this. There's a left and a right and an up and down in time. There's more of a sphere of time rather than a linear forwards and backwards. There's to the sides, there's up, there's down. And I need visual tools, I need visual props. I have to print some out for you guys to explain that one a little bit more there. But just wait, I think there's going to be some theories coming out on those ones. Oh, and Emilio, I missed the past one there. The zigzag ones are, I think they are the gold standard for us there. And GWAC there, what have I missed there? It's too warm to sleep. Oh my god, it is GWAC. Luckily it's cooling down a bit tonight, but it still could be cooler. I feel robbed. It was meant to be a lot colder today, although I did have to put a jacket on in the evening briefly. Look at this nice blue one here. Remember guys, we're going to be seeing a lot of objects like this tonight. We need to see it to know for sure that it is strange. We need to see it stop dead, shoot off at speed, change its course or trajectory. That will tell us 100% that it is something a little bit stranger indeed there. But compare that one to that one. Man-made satellites just can't act in those strange ways, so that is what we need to observe it doing. Stopping dead, shooting off at speed, their course or trajectory change. Again, coloration, flashing are all anomalous too, but not quite as slam dunk there. And how are we doing, Raf? Are you off now? How was your very long shift there? And there's aura colors. So that's a good point there, GWAC. Yeah, I mean, there is so much, I think, that we don't, not say we don't perceive, but commonly we don't perceive. There are actually, so we've got 3 light cones in our eyes, guys. Let's go back to the basics on this one. The reason that we perceive color as humans is we have the receptors in our eyes for each of the color bands. And like you get the primary colors, is it the red, blue, green, whatever it is, there you see the 3 and it makes the other colors. And that's how we can perceive it. But there are some humans with a 4th light cone. They can see a little bit more than us, the cheeky fuckers. Quite rare development there, but they can see a bit more. So you wonder, like, with the aura colors and stuff like that. And people, like, they talk about a 3rd eye, and I've never been into the spiritual stuff or, meditation, all that sort of jazz. But I'm coming to it through the UFO world now. The more like we talk about the UFO, how that may work, the more I'm going, oh shit, those guys might have been onto something there. And very interesting recently, they talk about the 3rd eye being up here and talk about being potentially the pineal gland or something like that. Is it? Well, just whatever. Actually, they have discovered that there is a literal 3rd eye hidden here. It's like a vestigial eye from the early evolution period there, and it's like a really, really simple one there that kind of just detects light versus no light. It's a very simplified form, but it's a real one. It's somewhere behind where we keep saying the 3rd eye is, where we felt intuitively as a species, but there is a literal vestigial eye back there. So you do wonder, didn't you? Like, maybe these guys had something all along there. What's that one? And, I don't think 115 is the power source alone. I think there are a few things that runs with it to create energy. It could well be. I think, it's one of the, I can't remember her name. Is it Amy, the scientist that, a part of that big group of scientists that looks very suspicious recently, and she was talking about a lot of this. I think she came out and said, Bob Lazar was right, but he's got it round the wrong way. So actually, the element 115 wasn't the fuel source. That was the product, the byproduct, the result of the engines working. That was the waste product. And I thought, I love flipping it on its head. I don't know how true that would be. Well above my pay grade to understand. But I thought, nobody said that one before. That's interesting. And I feel the same there. The speed of light is the processor speed, the Planck length. It really, that is exactly the way to put it. And don't you think that the more we look to the universe and psychology, how the mind works, how it all works there, it looks more like computers there. And now, is that is what's going on? We're in one big computer simulation, or is it that reality is just more computational than we expected before there, and we've built computers modeled on how reality actually works there? And the pixel resolution, there's 27 constraints that make up the parameters of the computational system. So what else could we extrapolate there, Brian, about the world of computers there, and look for clues within our reality? All good there. That's me done for the week there. Well-deserved, Raf. Treat yourself to a Bentos. Sit down and relax. Hopefully it'll be a good week for Skywatchers. You got any plans, or are you just chilling out? And I've seen them my first time at a spiritual church healing session. But obviously I didn't know at the time. I got explained to me, and it's also opened my 3rd eye. So, GWAC, with that experience, like, do you actually see it with your eyes? Like the same as I could see something in the room here? Or is it more like when it's in your mind? Like, you kind of know it's there, but it's not necessarily just like with the vision? What's that experience like? If you want to say that, that's awesome. And James Gates has an interesting take on all of this there. Holographic hypothesis. So the holographic stuff, it breaks my mind a little bit. Like, the holographic universe theory, but holograms in general, right? So when you have one of those holographic images, you can cut the fucker in half and it still has all the data for the whole image. Like, holograms break my mind a bit. I don't understand them enough to then be able to extrapolate it, but I mean, it could well be what's going on there. I mean, seeing the aura cards. Yeah, how does it, do you visually see it there, or is it more like in your mind that you kind of see it there? And I watched a thing where they had a theory that our bodies are drones driven by consciousness. Crazy thought. I've heard it as well described that, like, we're wearing a headset, and the closest I can get to this is like, when you're watching a movie and you're so engrossed, and then you kind of realise and you step out of it for a second there, all you were perceiving was the screen and just that you were in it there. It was like you just went, and then you go out of it, and you kind of realise there is the rest of the world. Maybe it's kind of like that, And again, this is just the controller that we're in. And now just chilling, and I'm not one who likes to go travelling, etc. on their own there. Pyjamas all week, shit food. To be honest, Raf, I can relate to that. I can fully relate to that. I've got friends every drop of a hat. They're like, oh God, I'm so stressed. I'm off to Bolivia for a week. I'm like, you're stressed and you're going to, that would stress me out more. And you go, I mean, admiration that they can do it is absolutely amazing. But it's well beyond me. And our brains are receivers there. Oh, Brian, that is the one thing I wish I could do. It's my own house. I could smoke in it. I just have to, like, put a hologram up. Hold on, this is where's Alan? There we go. Be right back. I'm puffing away. Where are we? Over on the tube. Let's bounce back to you guys. Where did we get to in the chat there? Where did we get to? I think he did wake up. Though he was missing for a long time, though, Roy, wasn't he? Old Travis Walton. They actually, I think they arrested the guys on the crew that he was with when he was abducted because they thought they'd actually done him in, and this was a bad alibi for it. There, loving the stickers, Kate. And coming in with the shares there, thank you for that. It is the likes, the shares, tapping away, all that jazz that helps us reach more and more like-minded people there, like yourself. Speaking of which, Coco, thank you for the follow. Where are you joining us from? If you're new here, guys, do say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Ask away any questions you may have. There's no silly questions here at all. If you've had an experience with the phenomena, we'd love to hear that too. And if you're wondering what the hell we're doing a live UFO UAP Skywatch tonight. We're coming to you live from Wiltshire here in the UK, right in the heart of crop circle country and just down the road from Stonehenge. So there are lots of strange and anomalous things in these skies. So do help us spot them. Keep your peepers peeled.
Zoom mode activated.
So we're going to see lots of objects like this one here tonight. So for us to tell that apart as something anomalous versus one of the many man-made objects up there in space. Excuse me. Oh, look, there's a faint one coming in just there as well. We need to see it stop dead, shoot off at speed, change its course or trajectory. Oh, there we go. That was an interesting one. Just flash. Oh, we got a flasher. Flashing and coloration are interesting. Not slam dunk, but look at that fucker. Right, again, what's happening with that one, guys? Now, whatever that is up there, be that a man-made object or be that ET flying around, they are going to be mostly going in straight lines because there's nothing to avoid up there, really. So a straight line is that most efficient path, and they're going to reflect that sun's light back down to us here on Earth as they go by. So that one flashing away, what that's going to mean, regardless of what the object is basically, as you see here, look, flash, no flash. Flash, no flash. So it's rotating, going flash, no flash, flash, no flash. But as it's moving like that. And if that's a man-made satellite, it's buggered. Most of them are not designed to rotate. Their sensors, whatever their job is, they're designed to do. Spy satellite, that camera needs to point down to the Earth. If the fucker's rotating around, that camera's swinging everywhere. It's not doing its job, is it? So sometimes at the end of their life, they can flash away. So it's interesting. It is always worth to zoom in on those ones. But it isn't a slam dunk that it is anomalous there. But it is quite interesting. Oh God, where did we get to with these? We got to Coco, didn't we? Joining us in the chat. So, just as the humans might aura. Oh, by aura and glow dog says. Yeah, other animals are tuned into this sort of stuff there. Oh, I got your message there, DJ. Very correct. Oh, DJ, I'm feeling for you there. I'm feeling the amount of times I did that to my old man. Oh, yeah, definitely swift recovery with that one, sir. Oslo, thank you for the gift there. I said appreciate that, guys. The gifts, the subs, the members, the merch is all going back in stream. Getting the show on the road at the minute. We're saving up to go to Rendlesham Forest, the site of the famous 80s crash/landing that may have happened just outside the US Air Force Base. We're going to do a live Skywatch on location from there. That's what we're saving up to do at the moment there. But speaking of merch, it's shop.thethingufo.live, or there should be links in the bio and stuff there for that. But when it loads, is it going to load? There we go. We've got a few items in there. Got the beanie. I do actually quite like the designs of these. There we go. All the t-shirts. That's the one I got on now. But if you do purchase it, take a picture of yourself in it and then put it in the merch showcase in the chat on the Discord, and then it automatically updates and we can bring you up on stream just like this. There's obviously me's in there. There's A up in Skywatcher shirt there. There's Carl in Thing shirt. Kate, we need one of you in there. And all the other bits there as well. So yeah, you can do that too. Where? Oh my God, where are we in the chat? Nice. No. Are we far behind? Where are we? To there. Where's Coco? There we are. And Oyo says, when we're conceived, we have a zinc spark. Maybe something similar happens when we die. I've heard about this spark. Yeah, when the sperm and the egg at that point, isn't it? Look, what we don't know about how it all works, I think, is most of the story, isn't it? And many craft have been spotted coming out of water, and even volcanoes consistently in some places. They really have. And the way we think that these craft would work would be basically creating a warp bubble, and that is their own little pocket of the universe around themselves. So therefore, they're not technically moving. The universe is trying to get our heads around that. Now, it doesn't break physics. It is possible. Just would require a hell of a lot of energy to do that successfully. But if they are doing that, then they don't have to worry about the friction caused by going into a different medium like the sea there, or the heats of going into a volcano. They can just basically go where they want. The universe will move out of its way if that is how they are working. In simple terms, Sam, you meant that time isn't just a line, but more like a ball. You can travel in a straight line inside. Yeah, basically, yeah. So if you think of like, you don't have to, but the multiverse, I think, is a human attempt to try and understand how there can be different versions of the events. But if we're going forward in time, we can understand that. We do that already. If we go back in time, we can get our heads around that. That was me just sitting in this chair last night saying different things, even in the same t-shirt. But if I go to the side in time, what would that look like? Well, maybe it's the side in time. If I could just go a little bit to the side in time, maybe it's exactly what I'm doing right now, exactly what I'm saying, but maybe I'm sitting like this. And maybe if I go in further inside time, the differences are a little bit more, subtle there. So it's on the same momentum going forward, but there's just more and more changes the further out you get. Maybe I've got the SETI t-shirt on rather than the Skywatcher one, or versions like that. And if you've seen, I can't remember what they call them there, but like they're angular gears, I think. So if you think of cogs, again, that linear motion they're designed to do that is a big circle, but obviously cogs, if you try and change that, it ain't gonna work. If you try and do an angle, well, they have these things called circular gears, like a spiky ball that essentially it engages. No matter what the angle of the ball is, it'll engage with the cogs there. And looking at that, you go, I could see how we could then go slightly to the left in time, or to the right. Maybe there are all these different paths through, and that is just, time is all things, not just forward and backward, but all versions of it, rather than having to create a different universe per different decision that each person makes. Maybe that is already laid out, because that is just how time works, each little path, and in that sort of sense. And it's probably not an actual sphere, but because we're 3D, we're limited to spheres to conceive these sorts of things. And I read throughout life, we use as much energy as a small nuke there. Don't know if it's true. It probably makes sense where the bodies do use a hell of a lot of energy. It's why our brains do a lot of things that we do. We're always trying to conserve it. The brains are hungry as fuck to do processing as well there, but also kind of incredibly efficient. Like, if you look at the processing power that we need for, AI, which is amazing what it's doing, but it needs a whole fucking data center to do that. It consumes a lot of power. The human brain can still do much more computation, much more efficiently. It's still a lot of power though, but that's why we're always trying to conserve energy. We're trying to not think as much as possible there, because that is expensive in calories. Aliens could all around us in different forms. If we didn't have ears, hearing wouldn't be a thing. But this is exactly, we do not perceive reality, whatever that may be. We do not have the sensors for it. Again, the visible light, what the human eye can see, the color range that we can see, is not all the colors that's out there. Down the low end, infrared; up the high end, you've got ultraviolet. Same with sound, really low and really high. We don't hear, we don't perceive, because evolutionary, nothing has killed us enough to warrant evolution developing those senses. So what else do we miss? Like, we can feel temperature, but we don't necessarily feel certain types of radiation. We don't perceive them. We don't need to. But certain animals can see those colors and can hear those sounds. They've evolved to have them. So there may be other things around there that we just do not perceive. And Ben, if we are in a simulation, whoever has control of me that needs to do a better job. But Ben, what happens, right? If when the end comes there, you close your eyes, it says game over. And then you wake up out of it and you go, shit, it was me. It was me all along. I'm the bad controller here. And it makes you think, though, doesn't it? Like, going back to a lot of the religious stuff or the spiritual teachings about us choosing to be here as a sort of a lesson to learn things. Maybe we choose our life paths and the struggles that we have to develop as training or as skills there, or maybe it's recreation. But it kind of falls in line, doesn't it, with that simulation? I could understand that. in that context there. Maybe I'm going to go play Skywatcher 3000, where you play as a bald guy in a green room every night, and you know, you just got to get through the levels of childhood first, and then you end up doing this. God knows what the final boss is going to be, but maybe it is something like that. How you doing, R4 there? Looking at Vega again there. How's things? See much? We had a couple of interesting flashing ones earlier. But yeah, Vega is going to be our stream companion as the summer months roll on there. It is big, bright and beautiful. And Tommy Scotland there. How are you doing there? Thank God, a normal person live on TikTok. Where? How are you doing there? And it's getting weird out there. It's always been weird. Tommy, the fact that it said we're normal and I spend my evenings sitting in the green room, that must be very weird, the other stuff. How are you doing? Have you survived the heat? How has it been up there for you? And M to the C, how are you there? Loving stickers there. I know, I'll get around to it there, Kate. Tut, tut, tut. And will you be watching the sky tomorrow when it's the full moon? Oslo, yes, we should be. If the moon is up, we might do a moon watch. I might pull my finger out and we, if it is clear. Let me just double check the weather before I make any claims. Is it still going to be clear tomorrow? Right. Ooh, oh. Right. Okay. Apparently, the clouds are rolling in tomorrow. So, might have to be a SETI stream. Have I got this right? Yeah, it is Monday. Yeah. Right. Tuesday. Tuesday's possible for a Skywatch again. We're going to get some more skies later on in the week. But yeah, tomorrow might be a SETI stream tomorrow. But if the moon's up and we can see it, we'll do that. And an advanced species could use a Dyson sphere system to harness a supernova for the energy and store it. They could, and we may be seeing this. Is it Tabby Star is one of them there? There are basically, so the idea of a Dyson sphere or a Dyson swarm is that an advanced civilization might want to, or would probably at some point basically go, right, we need to use all of the energy from our star. How do we do that? Well, you basically build a shield around this, and none of that heat, none of that light escapes, and you absorb it all, and you kind of live on the surface of this shell around your star rather than the planets in orbit there. You're harnessing all the energy from it. But a less full-on version would be a swarm, basically like a constellation of satellites, kind of like Starlink, orbiting it and collecting it there. And the more in the swarm, the more efficient that Dyson swarm would be. But the idea is that we could see that with the technology that we've got now around these stars that we monitor. And basically, if the star dims regularly, repeatedly, you know, that by a substantial amount, that could mean that there's a swarm around it there that's blocking it out, that's absorbing that heat, and we are seeing it. We are seeing a couple of stars in particular. One of them is I think it's dropping in the 90% of brightness, and we just have no idea what it is that could be doing that other than something like this. But what's very interesting is it seems to be a cluster of these stars that are all next to each other, but all specifically the same type of star, which is the same type of star as our sun, which we know supports life. They're all the stars of that same type in a local group all seem to have this weird dimming behaviour, which is exactly what we'd expect from an advanced civilization, spreading itself out, solar system to solar system there, habitable close by stars, using that technology, harnessing the energy from it. So we may be seeing it. When people say, where are all the aliens? There's a fuck lot of evidence out there, guys. We can't say 100%, but it does look interesting. And Dyson swarm is possible. It definitely is possible. And to think of a sideways time as a different decisions and the multiverse branches would be infinite. And that's exactly what I think, because that's the thing for me, Kate, that I didn't sit right with the multiverse. Well, that's a nice one. Look, compare it to that. Is just how many individual versions of variations. But what if that's just how it was? You know, they're you know, in the same way that, you know, for us in the real world, there's not just a forward path and a back path and a left and right path, but there's all of the arcs in between in that circle. I can go to the northeast as well as the northwest. You know, it's not just north or east or west. There may be time, or you know, is like that as well. And I think a reincarnation is semi-possible there, and you wouldn't have any memories, but you could be something else. Possibly, I mean, energy is conserved, isn't it, and how that particularly forms. Definitely past cultures have taken a stab at what might be going on, and maybe they're onto something there. And JK, we only receive what vibrates at the same frequency as you are at that moment in time. I love that, because this goes into the fact that we are just a wave, guys, like light. We are just a wave of energy. The illusion of solid matter is exactly that. It's an illusion from us, from our perception point. But we are all waves there. So what else do we not perceive that is also waves and stuff like that? And you're surviving the heat, Tommy, there. And I packed myself into the freezer for 2 days with a little snorkel sticking out of it there. There goes my light coming back on. But you survived. Did they throw you out of Morrison's? To catch some normal temperatures there. And I'm giving up on the USA UFO PSYOP release. It's a load of bull. I've got to admit, Tommy, I was trying to be positive towards it, but the cracks are starting to show for me. I'm still keeping a slightly open mind, but it's not looking good. As we keep saying, though, there has to be a limit. Everything has a limit. But it does there. Like, is that just a perception from our understanding of the universe? What if there's something we can't even conceive of our head around, you know? Like, maybe it doesn't, like, at a different level that we can't even conceive of. I'm getting very, like, meta out there at the minute. And heard of the Tehran incident there when F-4s intercepted a UFO, but all equipment found on approaching. Very similar to the early UFO accounts, isn't it, where the engines would stop and stuff. They do appear to have, like, you know, the technology that could definitely do that sort of thing. I haven't heard that specific one, but it makes sense. Right, bouncing back over to the tubes. Where did we get to? Yep, our brains are a receiver. That I've heard this as well. And knowing my luck, this is Raf, I'd go to Bolivia and end up on a plane to Brazil instead. Use of that stuff. And they can get quite confusing. They can get quite. I'll give you that, Raf. Where are we in it there? Ow, GWAC, yeah. It was scary at the first. I opened like a deep sleep. It fixated on me and then started seeing colours, shapes, and I learned an open circle and now understand how I work with the spirit to see letters and numbers like birthdays. That is fascinating there. And balloons, bright baby blue. I also see apparitions. So you're getting like these sorts of like associated contextual clues for what might be going. That sounds very much like the remote viewing as well. Do you feel like it's a similar, whatever the mechanisms that's doing that kind of works in that same sort of way? Oh, was that a little shooting star going past? There you go. And Trevor, I've just been showing my neighbour the moon close up there. She is blown away. She's never seen anything like it. Right? Trevor, honestly, there's something I think about the moon. It resonates with all of us there. You know, it just touches into us biologically there. But when we've all seen pictures of the moon. We've all seen the moon landings. Very impressive. But when you, for your own, you see it close up. You see the craters for the first time. Like, it never gets old. It just touches, I think, in something deep within us there. What's up? How are we doing, Liam there? And I really would love an alien girlfriend there. I have given up on Earth or women. Well, Liam, you talking about like the 70s style Venetian three-titted ones. That was a bit of a craze in the 70s, wasn't it? Our benevolent space brothers and Venetian goddesses. That was a right phase. I remember I was reading some classic UFO books. I wanted to go back to that time or the individual reports, and I was reading through, and you just get to the pictures that people have drawn from there, and I went, fuck me. Like, that, what was this guy on? Like, you know, no wonder they were interested in space if that's what was up there. Where are we there? And Man Bren, how are you doing? Thank you for the gifts there. I appreciate those. All goes back into the stream. Where did we get to over on the tubes? And thank you for the shares as well there, man. Again, it helps us reach more and more like-minded people there like yourselves, and the more eyes and minds we get on the old phenomena, the better there. More we can all piece this puzzle together. And provide, I was going to say remote viewing, which certainly has been proven more now than 10 years ago. Very, very much so. There is a lot of data around it. It is, you know, beyond a chance correlation. You do wonder how it is all connected, don't you, there? You know, maybe it is, you know, we're talking about the sphere of time, you know, maybe it is, you know, just being able to navigate that, basically getting into a way, you know, getting into a plane where all that information is there, you just got to go get it. Brings back Flash Gordon. That's a good way. That is very of that period, isn't it? And the light hits your eyes, and our brain interprets it and fills in the blanks. So we don't know what reality is. Tommy, you're bang on right. So from, you know, our experience, if you're anything like me, which I probably are, it looks like I've got a little window in my face here, right, where I'm looking out into the real world and what is really here. Microphone, laptop, Alan, right? And I'm observing what is really there, but that is not the case. You know, these are little cameras, and that information goes down the wire into my brain, and my brain then models what the data it's got in there, and that's where we get a lot of room for misinterpretation, for the brain to get things wrong. We're not seeing like a base reality. Not only do we not have the sensors for everything there, but again, it's our brain's best interpretation of what is going on there, based on all of our sensor data, touch, smell, sound, light, all of that jazz. So yeah, it could be much stranger. And where are we over there as well? Raf there, and be honest, Liam, there you want the free ticket one. Total Recall. And Trevor, I think it was the fact that she could see into the creatures in an instant and in high detail, and that's what amazed her there. 3 bums and 6 legs. But yeah, no, the Mars stuff really interests me. The remote viewing on Mars there, like some of the stories that they had then, if that is anywhere near true, that, it's amazing. And G-Rack there, mediumship work, as like it's saying in the catchphrase, say what you see, then you give the jigsaw pieces to people to see if they can put the picture together, because that does sound a lot like the remote viewing. Basically, they would say, like the remote viewing of Mars, right? I'm seeing sand, I'm seeing red, a pyramid, and I'm feeling like there's been a disaster, and I'm doing a really bad job of it. But it's, it's not like, again, I think in my ignorance, when I think about these things, it's like, do you see a still image or like a video of what it is? But the more you hear about it, the more it is. Again, it's like the flavors coming in. You're getting a whiff of this part of it there, the clues that then need to be assembled. And hopefully their men don't have children on their planet. What if Alan or alien men give birth out their arse? Wasn't that in a comedy show? Turned out there's the men that were pregnant and one guy was horrified there. Go with the one over the fruit drama. Yeah. Where did we get to over on the TikTok? So what's your thoughts on the Men in Black and turning up with 30 minutes anywhere in the world? I don't know with the Men in Black, but I definitely think that there are and have been official departments, tasked to shut people up. Like, we know that happens for normal shit anyway, so why the hell wouldn't it be for the UFO shit? Now, it's when we get into the paranormal, because there's a lot of stories around this where people say that the Men in Black themselves, there's something eerie about them, about their behaviour and all that sort of stuff that, points to them, maybe there's something else going on, a little bit stranger there. And I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories about that sort of stuff, but I've not heard much of the detail, and that's where I really get it. Well, give me a structure for how that works. What is the process of it? And that doesn't mean I don't believe it at all. It just means that that's what I'm waiting for. It's what's the reason behind that? Do we have a treaty where they're allowed to come in and they want to keep it quiet? What is that about? I heard a fascinating one yesterday from a chap, and I think he's ex-CIA or something, so you always have to take it with a pinch of salt. But he was basically talking about all parts of the phenomena, but he was mentioning abductions, this woman's abduction experience. This is a nice one. Look, it's slightly different shape to the others as well. Now, shape doesn't necessarily mean that is exactly what the object shape is like. This is just the light that we're seeing of it there, and a bright light, kind of like if you meet a car on the road. Where is my cursor? There it is. I need to zoom back out, sorry guys. If you see a bright light on the oncoming traffic there, the light could be bigger than the car itself, so we're seeing there. But yeah, this chap was talking about abductions was part of what he was saying, and he was talking about this account where this woman basically claimed to be abducted and then went back to what she said was like an American military base, but there were aliens there. Sorry guys, sorry that caught me out. But they were, in an underground bunker doing tests. You've heard that sort of story before. But the guy this ex-CIA guy was later working for, I think, Hal Puthoff and the people within you know, the researcher at Valet, so quite well credentialed people. And so he was then given the task to basically investigate this woman's account, and he was like, all right, yes, he's writing down, yeah, here we go. Not very much believing it, but then as she describes the story, she just describes this underground bunker, entering it, what happened there, and then as she's leaving, he starts to put the pieces together that in his previous job, he knows exactly what bunker she's talking about, and she was describing it very, very specifically, including to the building number that was on the door. And he couldn't find any links of how she would know that. Nobody in her family that was serving, you know, not until going back to the war, basically. So there was no obvious links of how she would know any details about this facility. But he knew of this facility, and he didn't let anybody know. And he went to have a look. Called up the base where this place was located, and they went, "Yes, it's abandoned, lady. You can go out there if you want, but it's abandoned." And they did. They went out and looked, and there was nothing in this bunker. But his mind was blown, like, you know, like that she described this place, but that, you know, so you know, how does it work? But I can't remember how I got onto that one, but that was an interesting story from last night. I was obviously looking for a way to crowbar that in for you guys. Of sitting and interactions as well. And to add on, what about the whole meat suits and / hybrids? So the hybrids one, again, I don't doubt that somebody's had a dabble at some point. To what the specifics are around it, I think it could be very plausible. And Agent X there, you are Agent X, Tommy. I did see him in briefly, or her, true. I did see him in briefly earlier, maybe I'll pop back in. And science should definitely go in the whole men being the pregnancy carrier things. Do you think, though, imagine how much we would complain, though, Kate? The amount of complaints that we would give, do you think it would be worth it? And trying to think of eternity, it makes your brain feel weird. That is the feeling we get. We can't comprehend. Right, 100%. But again, we are limited by the things that we can conceive of, aren't there? And I think this is one of the things about DMT, is that actually might allow you to conceive of those higher dimensions, those concepts that we can't really perceive properly. We can talk about, but we don't really get that feeling. We can't construct or model it because we just don't have the brain power for it. And there's a few things like that, like, you know, what's space in and stuff like that. But maybe DMT and stuff like that is helping getting into those realms to be able to fully comprehend them, taking off the restrictions of our three-dimensional experience. Is that Miss Wolf as well? How are we doing? Thank you for the gifts there. So very much appreciated. All back into the stream. And was it the tongue cube there? How are you there? Aliens could never contact us, though. So it doesn't really matter. But why could they not contact us? Why not? There's nothing that prevents that in physics at all. And in fact, the universe does look to be noisy. Now, if we are to rely on radio communication there, or even light communication, everything, they're traveling at the speed of light, with that limitation, it would be very difficult to have a conversation. But it is definitely more than possible. Like even our closest neighbour, Proxima Centauri, again, a few interesting signals from there potentially. But if we were, we'd have to wait 4.5 years to go, hello, 4.5 years later. Hello, and you know, very difficult to have a real-time conversation, but you still could do messages and things like that. You can still have a relationship with it there, but now if we're talking thousands of light years away, again, it is a lot harder. But maybe they can traverse these distances, but we could definitely communicate about it. And there are many different ways of communicating as well. Like, you know, you can just say you're here. And lots of that. You could also do it in a passive sense. You don't even need to be doing it actively. And you see, I reckon a woman would develop the whole selective hearing thing. I can be pretty loud though, Kate, just ask Leanne. And the best way to think of eternity, in my opinion, is realizing you are a part of it in emotion there. Oh, that's a good way around it. I mean, bringing yourself back to the fact, well, whatever is going on, we are the universe. That is the one thing that we do know. Satan is having a Donald Trump's baby, and I saw it in the South Park. That's aging you there. I remember that from school there. And I asked AI to say orange is orange if it's forced not to answer, and I asked if aliens are real, and it said orange there. I mean, I think there is a lot of contextual evidence that does point. If it was a murder case, as people say, this would have been slam dunk. I think there's a very strong case to be made. There is definitely evidence out there pointing towards that is very much the case there. And Mark, what do you think if the Miami aliens happened a couple of years ago there, the large shopping mall? See, this is one of those ones that I don't know. There just isn't enough information, but I wouldn't write it off. But again, without more of a different range there, it's harder to get more confidence. So I very rarely will say a binary yes or no on things. It's more of a percentage, like, you know, it's on the degrees how much we believe. So do I think life is out there? 100%. Do I think life is visiting us here? I'm in the 90s, you know, because there's quite a range of different types of evidence there to put together for that one. You know, do I think that Roswell happened? Well, that is one of the ones that I'm more convinced of, but you know, I'm not 100% on it. You know, so again, the more specific it is, the harder I can be, like, the definite on it. So the Miami Mole one, the mole, is there's lots of individual talks around it, but I'm not seeing different types that I can trace back to it. So at the minute, it's kind of in that interesting category, but I can't collapse that down either which way at the second. But it is interesting. The speed of light is annoying. It's actually really slow. Have you guys ever seen that animation that they do? They show you it relative, like, you know, the speed of something moving at the speed of light around Earth, and you go, oh, that looks fast, but not as fast as I thought. Then you go, you see the speed of light going to the moon, you go, wait a minute, that looks quite slow. To Mars, you know, and you see it over these distances. It looks incredibly slow there. How close is the life out there, do you think, though? So I think it's everywhere. And I wouldn't have said that long ago, but we have got a lot of indicators that within our solar system, there is, at the very least, microbial life pretty much everywhere. And again, it's not slam dunk, but that's what the indicator. Now we're getting better measurement tools, and people are looking. It's looking like we're getting more cases of this. So that is either the same case of life that we've got here on Earth, and it's kind of spread around in a very simple form, or maybe it started everywhere. But if that's the case, it's got to be easy everywhere. The only reason people don't really think there was, you know, the scientific go, we don't even know if there are aliens, is because we didn't know if there were other planets around those stars. But now we're seeing them, and now we're also seeing their atmospheres, and we're starting to go, wait a minute, that looks like gases that, as far as we know, only life can make. So I think life is everywhere. Now, is that life going to be complex? That's the different question. That I think, again, it would just be a numbers thing. So where do we think complex life will be? But there is a lot of interesting evidence. Again, our closest neighbor, Proxima Centauri, there's a couple of planets in orbit around that star that may be sending us signals, or generally emitting signals. Might not be a directed message yet, but it's looking like, you know, there are lots of indicators that life is absolutely abundant out there. So I think it's going to be very, very close there. And how would we know if we were a hybrid alien? Well, this is the thing. And I mean, this goes back, doesn't it, to like the Anunnaki stuff there? You know, did they manipulate our genes? And that's why we're so different from everything else here on Earth. You know, are we the hybrids all along? And anchoring is the key to comprehending that. If you anchor yourself and you don't lose yourself, you understand. See, this, I think, but like a lot of things, be a practice thing, and that's what gets me. But it makes sense. Of course, there is dimensions, so maybe they are right under our noses, but not physically. R4, definitely dimensions are interesting, and I don't subscribe to like the Hollywood, where a dimension is like, you know, you open a portal and it's a separate space. The dimensions, the best that we understand them, are the same space but different ways to interact with it. And we speculate that there are a lot of other dimensions, you know, that we're sharing the space with. So maybe this is what we're seeing with a lot of the UFO activity there. Maybe we're seeing different dimensional creatures that are slightly interacting with dimensions that we can see, and that would explain the weirdness of a lot of the phenomena. Not all of it, but definitely a lot of it there, because we just can't comprehend or perceive those other dimensions. And it's a really weird, all of the police cars that showed up, yet nothing was released from the cops there. Totally, what was it all about? So this summit there. And Sarah as well, where are you joining us from? Thank you for the follow there as well. And Calix2, good to have you on board. Where are you guys joining us from? Say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. If you are joining us, we're doing our live UFO UAP Skywatch, coming to you live from Wiltshire here in the UK, right in the heart of Crop Circle country, just down the road from Stonehenge. Hold on to your hats. I'm just going to move the camera slightly. There, so yeah, do say hello, let us know where you're watching from. Make sure you're following though, or subscribed, whatever it is, wherever you are, because we do this pretty much every night. Clear skies, it's this, the UFO UAP Skywatch. Cloudy nights, it's this alien radio signal hunt there, kind of like the film Contact, listening out on the hydrogen line, hoping to hear ET say hello where the WOW signal was heard, or if the moon's up, we do that. Moonwatch, we see some strange things up there too, so we're always looking to get evidence of the phenomena. The whole thing about them saying that there was things in the sky before we put them up there. There is something going on, and it has been going on the whole time. We're only starting to like pay attention and get the evidence collated for that one. And I wonder if there's other life out there singing Sweet Caroline and doing the slosh. You imagine they've picked up our radio signals. Keep an eye on that one in the middle of the screen at the minute, guys. Dimensions is like when you make a choice. It's like taking the bus and it splits to a different branch. Well, so technically, not for that one. No, dimensions. So the dimensions that we do perceive are forward and backwards, left and right, up and down, and then forward in time. So 4 dimensions. We're multi-dimensional beings. So it's the same space, but it just gives us an extra way to interact, or extra ways to interact with it all there. But there are other dimensions that they speculate do exist there that could be, you know, like, again, we can't even conceive of it. But there is a brilliant video that I compel you all to watch if you want to really lock in the dimension stuff, by Hannah Fry. It's on her YouTube, her shorts. So she's got TikTok probably on there as well. And it'll be a few back now, no 4 or 5, but it's talking about what a 4-dimensional or 5-dimensional object would look like to us. And when you see that video and they're explaining how we would perceive that, you go, that makes so much sense. That is a lot of the phenomena there. So it's definitely got to check that one out there. And did you go and see the new crop circles? Sadly not. I haven't managed to get on the road for those yet. We haven't had one right on our doorstep, which me being lazy was the main one. But there is one I have got my eye on there. Is that Gemma? How are you doing there? Is it Rubens? How are we doing? And Timeless is that I believe. Oh, timelines. Yes, that's the timelines. Yes, 100% right. That is the different timelines. And Print Farm, I'm off to bed now. Got to travel miles to hospital. Oh, good luck there, Print Farm. We won't be missing too much. But good. Thank you for joining us as always. We'll see you later on there. And the 4th dimension is beyond the brain. This is the thing, Tommy. Like, we can't talk about it. We can't conceive of it in there. So we can only see how the shadow of it. They call it the shadow because obviously, like us, as a 3-dimensional being, we cast a 2-dimensional shadow. So what would the shadow in 3 dimensions be for a 4-dimensional object or being be? It'd be a sphere. And what would that sphere, as it, like, you know, you imagine like with the shadow, you change your position, like the length of the shadow moves, doesn't it? Like it goes, comes forward and backwards, moves around like that, doesn't it? There. But it's not you, it's your shadow. So what would that look like to us? Well, it'd be a sphere getting bigger and smaller, and then appearing over there and appearing over there. You know, honestly, you've got to watch it. It's mind bending. What's the blue light in B1? Is that still in the same one there? I think the one that's in, is that in B? Oh, it is in, yeah, it is in B1. That is Vega. That is a star, a big, beautiful star called Vega. 26 light years from us here on Earth.
Activated.
Burning much hotter and much brighter than our sun there. It won't last as long, but it is big, bright, and beautiful. And it's our companion for the summer months, and we like to follow it around the sky. And corner jumpers are supposed 2D species that can jump through 2 dimensions. Oh, Rory, I've not heard about this one. Tell me more on these ones. I've never heard of a corner jumper, but I like the sound of it there. It's really high. It really, yeah, it does bend the brain. They like to jump through from one side of an L shape to the other, skipping through the corner. I need to hear more on that one there. But good question there, Mark. I'm loving the sticker doodle. Right, bouncing back over to the YouTube. Let's see where you patiently are waiting for us, guys. Where did we get to? Oh, you're talking about your cartoon fantasies there. Fifth Element, that was a very good film. We haven't added that to our movie club list there. Multipass. And as Raf says there, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate that one. Those likes, especially the ones at the top of the page on YouTube, they just below the video. The normal likes, they really do help us reach more and more like-minded people like yourselves there. And the more eyes and minds we get on the L phenomena, the better. So the more we can all piece this puzzle together there. My favourite bit is when you guys, new guys come in, you share those experiences with us. That is the thing that's changed my understanding of the phenomena the most. The stories you don't otherwise get to hear, so we do appreciate that. But we are on the same pretty much every night, so make sure you're following to get those notifications when we go live there. And I'm learning AI Python language there, and I want an AI girlfriend. It won't be long there. I want to create the woman from, or was it Weird Science? Look, it won't be long. And what would that do for our species? And I hope it ends up like Star Trek, where everyone sort of gets on with each other. Ultimately, Brian, I think it will. And the reason why is that Scott there, thank you for the follow. Where are you joining us from? The reason why I think this is because what is happening, my understanding of what happened is that basically we all have a different experience of the world. right? We're all slightly individual. We're all in different places. I'm slightly further up a hill than somebody else. I'm in a different temperature, different climate. Therefore, my experience, my needs, the resources I need to be comfortable and survive are different. So we're always going to have differences of opinion until we all have a shared experience. And how do we do that? Through technology. The more technology, the more energy we have, the more we equalize the playing field. So the normal analogy doesn't quite work when we're in the middle of a heat wave, but we can all say through technology that even though we are all international, we're all probably currently at a similar temperature. There we're either using heat insulation or electrically heating our home, or gas to heat our homes, or to cool it, but getting us in our ideal ranges for us as humans. And therefore, we're all there sharing that in common because of technology and energy resources. So at some point in the future, technology will just equalize the playing field, that no matter your individual experience, you know, where you are and how you're built, technology will build up the gaps there, making it easier, and therefore you're going to have less problems with other people there. But you'll be surprised at how individual our experiences are there. You know, and the example I give is that, you know, my mother lives up a hill very close by to me, and you know, the shop is sort of equal distance between us there, but she has to go up and down a hill to get to the shop, and I don't have to. It's on the same level for me. So even though we go to the same shop, it's the same footsteps of distance, she's got a higher calorie expense to shop. You know, that she's paying the same price in cash, but she's got higher calorie expense. So even though we're in the same town of the same country, we speak the same language, we're sharing the same temperature and weather conditions, the same distance from the shop at the same price, it's still more expensive for her in calories than it is to go and get it there. But technology solves that. We get deliveries, you know. So the more we do it, you know, with the more in common we're going to have. I mean, how many times, as your friend said, oh, I've got to do a thing, and they're really kicking up a fuss about how difficult that thing is, and you're thinking to yourself, going, fucking hell, that ain't difficult, mate. What are you pulling that one for? But the truth is, again, because of our experiences, because of our education, how our life has gone, what we've learned, we all find different things, different degrees of difficulty there. Partly it's the resources we have, you know, and how far to the shops it is, but partly, again, those experiences in childhood. Like, if you let me get on with a task, I'm fine. I can do that. I can come up with a great product. You'll love it. If you want to micromanage me, right, like, I'm basically the worst employee at entry-level jobs. Like, the worst. You would fire me within 20 seconds. I do not last 20 seconds. Can't operate a till. Whereas if you let me, and I have done this previously, I can run a whole shop for myself. I can build it, I can set it up, and I can run it. But I can't be a worker then. My brain doesn't work like that. So we have all of these differences because of those experiences there. So again, even though, you know, employment law's the same, opportunities are the same, the wages are the same, there's still a unique difference to us as individuals. But technology will at some point save that, and therefore equalised experience, less friction between individuals, less reason to argue, to fight. We become more the same there. So I think eventually we will. It's just that technology has to catch up there. And when the sky is crap, we do a SETI signal. We do. We listen on the same frequency as the hydrogen line there. We have a cracking Discord community. Actually, Raf, we do. Thank you for reminding me of that one. Do join us over there. Link in the bio for that. If you've got Discord, yeah, the link's there to join in there. We're a really cool personal experiences section. That is my favourite part. That is where all you guys share your first-hand accounts with the phenomena of images and videos. So you guys are welcome to add to that, or just read through it. They are pretty damn cool, I think, those experiences. That's definitely my favourite bit in doing all of this. But also interesting things, all of the latest UFO news. Do join us over there for that one. Definitely there. And I would prefer it if, like Red Dwarf in the future there, female Crichton, and SETI is sick there. And is that the website that everyone can search for signals? So, yes, basically, we've got one now. We've put our one on. It's our own kit, so we've got our own website now to do that one. It is loaded. So where's my little button? There we go. Wait for it to go through the normal first part of the website, which is just our our shop, our movie club, our Discord gets mentioned there. But in a second, it'll show you the stuff. So what you have to do is you have to be on our Patreon, because when you sign up on the website with the same email, it goes, is this person a Patreon? And then it lets you into this, that's our sensor dashboard there. So all sorts of stuff is being monitored about the space weather, Earth, Schumann resonance, geomagnetic index, solar wind speeds, solar flares, all of that stuff is mentioned there. You can monitor those, but you can click on the next bit when it loads. You can also customize it. But there, which is our SETI stream there. So it's our dish is always running, unless it's a heat wave, I have to turn it off. The night sky basically monitoring the night sky, listening out for alien radio signals. So if you detect anything, you can log it, and it lets us know that. It's the same one we use when we're doing our live SETI streams, but you just have to log in with the same email account as a patron, or create an account with the same email account as a patron, so it knows who you are, and then it you can do a SETI search at any time, but all those other meters as well to monitor things there. And the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum physics. Where are we? There. I still scan channels just to be nosy for hours there, but I use transceivers to wind people up when I'm bored, and I can get them through customs without a license, really. And I set up a 600 watt FM transmitter years back there, and I closed it in a metal safe, and it bled into a military channel, and the Department of Trade and Industry and police was on my site 6 hours. That you just set up wrong. Now that is hilarious there. Our existence is a sneeze in time syntax, and we are quite late to the snot. But that is true. You know, we are about halfway through the expected lifespan of the universe. There's been plenty of time for not only other planets and star systems to form well before ours, but for life to form and to develop and to be far more advanced than us there. The possibilities have been on for a long time there. You want to try a DMT and see the code in the laser? I partly would. But I've had some bad trips in my time, so I'm a bit worried. Although it's meant to be much different from some of the other stuff, though. And back in the 70s and 80s... Oh, where'd it go? Where did it bounce? But 70s and 80s, you could listen to a local police band. You could. Now it's all encrypted, isn't it? Oh, you got the... And is that what's there? I have you on TikTok and YouTube. There's no escaping. Honestly, that is what we call the pro move. I'm surprised by how many of you guys do this. It's you get the YouTube, right, where it's up the right way. So let's show the TikTokers. There we go. Look, it's all up the right way. Bigger screen, less my face. They project that, or they have that on your big TV, and then you're in the chat on your phone there. Again, nobody's done this yet, although we did have somebody yesterday with VR. They'd done it in VR, and I thought that was the next level. But, right, you know, you got your big TV for the mainstream, for the YouTube, right? You got your phone for the chat, maybe for the TikTok, right? And then you get a projector to project that signals dashboard that we just showed you there from the website. And there, so you're monitoring all the correlate. That's nobody's done that one yet, but if you do it, I want to see pictures of it there. And Vincent, how are you doing there? Good evening. Can you please tell me what is the allied dot in D1? Is it a planet? And it's Vince watching from Preston. Always good to have you in there, Vince. So the red dot, very eagle-eyed of you there. That sadly is, I think it's a hot pixel on the camera there. We've got another one there, and there might be a blue one that normally comes in around here. So yeah, something to do with the sensor on the camera. It's just, it projects it there, sadly, but good spotting it there. Has anyone seen the new James Webb pictures there? Apparently there is new evidence that the universe is infinite and everything is moving away from each other, not from a center point. Oh, now I always hear that James Webb has just smashed all the rule books every time, but I haven't heard that one yet there. And it means there was no Big Bang. The universe is never ending. Could well be very possible. Again, these are just the best theories, things like the Big Bang, the best running theories at the time. So yeah, they're definitely a possibility on that one. But I need to check that one out. Right, bouncing back over to the TikTok, guys. Where do we get to, you guys? Scott, where are you joining us from? Thank you for the follow there. And Rory, they are called Corner Folk, actually, and they are a very weird theory from a horror film. I want to hear more about that. That's even if it is that's cool though. Creator believes in the theory, though. But look, this in horror and film, the film is just a way for us to join dots, to make connections. Now, those dots might not be there. That is part of it. It's not a scientific investigation to confirm that it's there, but it's still us trying to connect dots and going, well, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing this. Does it equal this? And look, Star Trek is a great version of this. It's you know, it's basically like computer modeling, a computer simulation of what would happen if we had this type of alien. And we had this type of alien and this sort of event takes place. And again, we don't know how accurate our model is. Do we have all the right data to input it? But there are these little thought experiments there. And look, art in all forms is the same as that. That is what art is. It's making these connections. Sometimes we go, fuck me, that was a good connection. That resonates with me subconsciously. I don't know why, but I love it there. But there's a connection made with it. And we think alike in that way there. And I need to be able to think and learn for myself in works. Just the way, 100%, like, I am useless for like beyond useless working for other people. I will last a handful of days anywhere before they go, what the fuck's going on? But quite the contrary, I used to set up businesses, sold businesses, my younger days anyway. Not now, I'm a salary man. But I could do that fine. But working for somebody else, like brain just leaves. It's ridiculous. And I couldn't deal with the public there. I'd be in jail. I can if it's myself. I can just go public mode. But if I'm for somebody else, no, you couldn't pay me enough to do it. It's very slow moving flasher there in B1. I'm a bit far behind there, but good spot in R4 there. And NSR, how are you doing? Thank you for the follow. And it's either extremely far out or it's a plane. So it's got to be extremely far out there, because planes, we notice planes. This sort of how far the lens is zoomed in, we'll notice the plane there. So that's got to be a flashing object that's quite far out. Even this one's a bit orange, isn't it there? Look at that, just compared to some of the others. There's a bit of coloration to that one. And 4 moving objects in the middle. Where did they come from? So sometimes you do go, where did that one come from? There was one last night that appeared to come in and then out. Now, if that was true and not just an optical illusion, that would be very, very strange. Again, not a satellite if it's behaving like that. We do have to consider the Earth shadow, the umbra of the Earth. So obviously, as the sun comes around, you know, like the light is going to move around further and further. And it's not like a straight line, it's an angled line. So you'll see that there will be a line of the screen where as satellites are moving, they just go dark at a certain point, or they come out from that line. And it's at different altitudes, it's kind of the line's in roughly in a different place. But it moves as the night goes on. But there are rules to it. So they're all going to basically go dark at the same point and come light at the same point as well. If you see something do it in reverse, which we think we've seen once, then that is anomalous there. That is implying that it's turning its own light source on or off. The YouTube's hitting you with the adverts every 2 minutes there. What? Tommy, go get YouTube Premium. That is ridiculous. We have them set on the minimum, would you believe? Which is crazy. Where are we as well over there? Are we... And yeah, I hear what do you mean there, and it's so hard to figure out there what's anomalous when Elon's putting thousands up there. It really, and it's going to be a lot more, but it's incredibly hard for us to know for sure. That's why we put in that really strict sort of you know, look, it's got to do the anomalous movement. That doesn't mean that it's not. Again, a UFO flying from A to B is going to be in a straight line most of the time. You know, we are asking for that rare case where ET realizes he's left the gas on right over a camera, stops dead, changes course and goes home. And again, how many times is that going to happen? It's not going to be all of the time, is it? Most of the time it will be that straight line reflecting that light back down to us. So we do have our hands tied from that point of view there. But it's the only way that we can be sure that something is anomalous is by observing that behaviour. I think we'd get a few more viewers if we did say they were all UFOs, but I don't want to lie. There's enough sensationalisation going on in the world. So I think to the best of our knowledge, we've got to keep it. I mean, there's enough mystery out there to be exciting. I definitely got to hope that they make the mistake like us there. And they've got to, haven't they? I mean, the more advanced they are, the less I would imagine they make. But there's got to be some. There's been a few crashes. Where did we get to over on the tubes? Oh, Foundation is a good sci-fi series, worth checking out. You know what? I did watch the first few series of that, and then I had to wait for another one. I haven't come back to it since. But that's Isaac Asimov, isn't it? I like that. I did quite like it. There's a few things it tackled in that I thought, oh, actually, don't consider that. Because, you know, like we tend to think, don't we? Like, you know, if we were, as we expect to. It's a nice one going through the screen there. But if we, you know, if nothing wipes us out, we're going to expand to the planets, to other solar systems, going out and out and out and out. You know, and look, that probably will happen if nothing gets in our way, if there's nothing else to contend with. But also, what does a civilization like that look like? Because it's not just a scale thing. You know, there are definitely going to be some similarities. You know, look, we're going to go through the phase of pirates, you know, like how Europe handled travelling to the New World. I think there are going to be similarities like that. But when you get out of our solar system, even within our solar system, the relativity of time becomes a trick there. It's not just that you have to wait so long for a reply because of the communication speeds, if we can't figure a way around that. It's that time runs differently. So it's not just that you're going to have to wait 5 minutes for the reply, but they might be working slower. They might be going faster, and then they might be 4 weeks ahead of you. Time is weird. Time is more like weather at these scales, and we tend to think, because we're so close together, that time is this one baseline that we plus or minus from. But it ain't. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's just, yeah. So as we get a civilization over these vast distances, and I think Asimov, they kind of tackled that in some interesting ways for that as well. So how would it be if you've got a colony over there that you want them to send materials back, and, you know, just the distances aren't the main problem. And yes, you can go to a website that gives you the old and not in use license codes. Oh, you copy the code in and it puts it in the order, and it asks you for the legal reasons. Ship abroad to China never checks. The military grade radio really transceivers that you are supposed to have a license for. Now that is pretty cool. That is the sort of me would want one, not for nefarious purposes, but because I'm told I'm not allowed one. And Carl there. Did I miss any big bug aliens there? Doctor Who figured it out with his TARDIS. Well, exactly. Yeah, he's got it all solved. Not yet. We've had a couple of flashes, but I don't think we've not hit the anomalous object button tonight. And Paul there, UFO could have adaptive camouflage, e.g. cloaking from its view. It very much could there. I mean, we often dabble in this, don't we, as humans? We lay down smoke screens and things like that. So with ET, with their more advanced technology, why the hell wouldn't they? The only reason I think would be if they just didn't care. If they're so far advanced, they just don't need to hide because they don't have to worry about us. But I think that cloaking would definitely be within their ability. There's definite talks about them doing that on an individual basis. It's like part of their ability is to disguise how they look to us there, like psychologically, and maybe they can do that sort of thing with the craft as well. But just the way we would expect their technology to work with gravitational lensing, the way they would warp time and space to move the craft, that in itself can be a degree of cloaking there. Aliens are interdimensional, Carl. I think they are. I think that's going to be part of it. Look, we know that the extraterrestrial life, the classic version, that is just so statistically likely. You know, there are just probably going to be so much life out there that that is going to be a component. But the dimensional component to the weird parts, I say the weird parts, but there are parts of the phenomena that definitely could be the interdimensional part of it there. And they can look any way they want. And I can PTT, push to talk to helicopters there, but I would never be triangulated in the moments there and have the guns in your face. You probably would, but it's cool to know that you can in case you ever need to there. You can set the digital freely. I mean, there is always a few people out there, isn't there, that the technology just never stops them. And there is so much physics we don't know. Carl, I think bang on the money. Science portrays itself to the general public because they like to be seen as the big smart boys, right? They portray themselves as, look, we've figured out 98% of it, but maybe there's a few little things here and there that we still need to work on, and that's why you've got to give us the money, guys. But really, it's the other way around. We'll be lucky if we're, at a single-digit percentages understanding of what object reality actually is. Now, doesn't mean that it's not functional. It's not. Science does some wonderful things, and I think the advancement, you look at what we have done since caveman's time and all that sort of stuff, is amazing. But it also doesn't mean that it's even scratching the surface of what actual reality might be. Zero of eggs, Carl, probably much closer to that. We need to learn some more humility, I think. And R4 there, yeah, I hear what you mean then. It's so hard to figure out what's... Oh, no, I did that one there. And definitely got to hope that they make the mistakes like us. Yeah, I wrote that. And no point in lying there. It's just looking at the stars and moving objects. I like this, intriguing enough. I think so. Like the sky's beautiful. There is just so much depth and so much mystery out there. There really is. Honestly, it is, you don't, as we say, you don't even need the aliens to appreciate the beauty of it, though. But there is just so much mystery that is going on. I think, just it's absolutely stunning in of itself. I feel like the camera's slightly out of focus tonight. Oh, look, it's the constellation, the coat hanger constellation.
Zoom mode activated.
Look at this one. Look, this is the only constellation, and I'll die on this hill, that actually looks like what it's meant to. It's an upside down coat hanger. Look, you got the hook, and then you got the hanger there. Now, I don't know what's going wrong with the settings, but we have had this on nights where you can see each dot of that, the colour just pops out, and they're all different colours. It looks like fairy lights on a Christmas tree. Absolutely stunning there. And I do it often there when the police are static for a while. It takes time to connect, wind them up all the time. Keep them on their toes. And hi again there. How you doing, Vincent? There. And how fast are the objects on your screen travelling? So it depends, but essentially it's terminal velocity. But well, actually, we don't have a terminal velocity, do we? Out there in space, so there's no friction. So there's not really much of a limit. So it is basically, I think the International Space Station is about 17,500 miles an hour. So there is slight variation within the satellites themselves. Basically, when they get them up there, depending on how much rocket boost they go to get them into their orbit, because whatever motion they put on them, it's just going to stay. It's just going to keep doing that. But yeah, they're all falling to Earth in a big, big circle. And each loop, they get ever so slightly slower. And about once a month, they have to boost themselves back up to stop themselves from just re-entering our atmosphere. Because what we've got to remember is the near vac vacuum of space. You know, it's kind of like how we experience our atmosphere here on Earth, right? But you know, when we jump into a swimming pool or into the sea, we can feel the density change of the environment, can't we? It's like we're going into something, and obviously if you hit the water wrong, it can be like hitting concrete. It can be quite hard, the old belly flops there. So we're going from a less dense atmosphere into a denser sort of, not atmosphere, but you know, space. It's like that for the satellites there, that, you know, they're up there, sod all around them there, near vacuum space, and then our atmosphere, although it feels pretty free for us now, you know, it's full of oxygen, it's full of nitrogen, it's full of all of these chemicals, and it hits those, and that creates drag. It slows them down, and when they get to a slow enough point, they, you know, they just drop down, they slowly just re-enter basically. So that's why they have to keep them up high enough, and Starlink are trying to lower them as much as possible to basically that lag, that delay, the latency between, you know, the internet service connecting to the satellite. They want the distance to be as short as possible for the best speeds, but they're so low they just keep re-entering because they just hit that friction. But it's why you get the old shooting stars that they flare up when they enter our atmosphere, because you're travelling all that way, all those great speeds through the vastness of space, then boom, they enter our atmosphere the same as us as jumping into water there, and that friction from the heat there, just the heat from the friction heats them up and normally explodes them if they are small enough. Alice are also alien beings. The AI is also alien beings, which we also don't understand. And we just plopped some dirty water in a petri dish and hoped for penicillin. I honestly, Carl, somebody had a theory, and I don't know how true it is, but there is definitely a black box mystery of AI there. You don't fully know what's going on the inside. And the fear is that, you know, maybe, you know, it was from an alien species. Maybe they gave us this little technology out of the blue. It did seem to come out of the blue, didn't it? And is it good for us? You know, are they helping us with this, or are they, you know, giving us tools to destroy ourselves? Interesting theory behind it there. But also there have been a few of these very anomalous radio signals detected, especially quite recently, pre the modern day AI era. And you think to yourself, so let's look at that on the screen, you think to yourself, oh, maybe there was something to that after all. We don't know, but it is interesting. And the plough, and that's the trowel, is above me most nights there, and I haven't seen Orion in a while though. Usually a beach one that. So Orion for us was late in the year from where we are here, but we did say that was pretty cool, nice bright one. It's clever. Honestly, Michelle, there was so much awesomeness going on out there. We're just scratching the surface. We are just scratching the surface. I mean, I hear an interesting podcast and parrot it back to you guys without fully understanding it. But honestly, there's so much wonder and amazement and just weird stuff going on up there. And Essex Skyshots, how are you doing? Yeah, we're good, especially after that bloody heat. It's cooling down a bit now, although it's hot here. How are you doing, though? And UK Kickman, thank you for the shares. Really do appreciate those guys. It is those likes, the shares, the tapping away, all that jazz that helps us reach you guys. And the more people, the more minds we can get in there, the more experiences can be shared, and the more we can all piece this puzzle together. Who would have thought that twiddling knobs very slowly could tune into God, eh? You never know with these things. You know, the older I get, or the more we learn about the universe and the phrases of it, the more you go, there may be something to a lot of that early religious and the spiritual stuff there. Maybe they were describing the same thing. The language that is coming out of modern day consciousness researchers now, like in the scientific world, slightly different language, but it's very similar to a lot of the spiritual stuff and a lot of early religious stuff. You're talking about the same thing, guys. You're both coming to the same conclusion. It definitely strikes me as that anyway. Oh shit, I just noticed the time, guys. Sorry, I'm going to have to come off now. I've got work soon. Hey, good. Where are we in that one? No, we are up to date. So yeah, guys, I am going to come off now, but thank you so much for joining us. We'll be on tomorrow night, hopefully for a Skywatch if the weather sorts itself out. Might be an alien radio signal hunt, but if not, we are going to definitely have a good few nights of Skywatching this week because the skies are due to be very, very clear. So make sure you're following and subscribed, get those notifications where we go live. But thank you for having a chat with us, sharing your accounts and your knowledge and all these interesting things there. I love hanging out with you guys, so glad to be back at it. But yeah, we'll catch you all hopefully tomorrow there. So looking forward to definitely same here, R4th. But yeah, thank you again for hanging out as always, and yeah, we'll see you all tomorrow night. Bye bye, guys.